Good afternoon, welcome back after the lunch break. Let's get ahead with our remaining of the sessions. Again, it's going to be a very tightly packed session. And I saw that some of the students over here are taking selfies. When you are posting the selfie in FB as well as social media, please use the hashtag T40 Summit 2K17, and you get to win some prizes end of the day today. So we are starting off with the post-lunch session with Dr. Sunil Gupta. Dr. Sunil Gupta has come here all the way from Delhi. He is, in fact, I was like trying to understand or read his, achievements. I'm like surprised. I don't know. It will take at least half an hour for me to explain his profile. So I'm not getting much into that. I just know that he is the Chief Innovation Instigator and Chief Learning Officer for Ideas Management Consultants from Delhi. And he is a certified facilitator for various models, especially in innovative thinking. So please come onto the stage. He has written a lot of books. He has published a lot of books in the field of innovation, selling skills, etc. Please come.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I want everybody to stand up. Everybody stand up. You need some exercise after lunch. So move your hands. Think you're flying. You've got to fly high. After all the sessions you heard about, fly high. Kochi has to fly high. Don't get tired. Nobody died out of exercise. Lack of exercise, many. Okay, so continue moving your hands. Your right hand, hold it as a pinch. Hold your right hand as a pinch and put your right hand on your chin. Turn and look at everybody in the room. Look at everybody, including the person standing next to you. And where is the chin in Kochi? Chin is here, not here. You're not listening in Kochi. So first thinking tool for all of you is OPV, invented by Edward de Bono. OPV stands for Other People's Views. And many people in Kerala do not listen to other people's views. They are in Malayalam, Aneka Ariyam. So in order not to be Aneka Ariyam, you must listen. So you're going to listen to 4 steps of mine. We're going to do something different now. So you learn one thing. It's a tool called OPV. Remain standing after lunch. Everybody start clapping. Clap. The way you're clapping is not correct. The way the clap should be is palm to palm, finger to finger. Reason for that is you got acupressure points in your hand. And you have to massage those acupressure points. This is the best Ayurveda. You're not clapping your hand in the best possible way. When you're clapping your hands, wait. Look at everybody in this room and have a smile on your face. You are not come for Antim Sanskaram. Smile. Have eye contact. Smile. Stop. You mastered the first step of laughter yoga. The first step of laughter yoga, which is a science now, says we must clap finger to finger, palm to palm. Acupressure points must be activated. We must have smile on our face. And if we do that, we will have happiness. That's a first step, but it's not the complete. You're going to learn the complete in the next 3 minutes. Second step. So who's going to remind me the first step before we go to the second step? Can you demonstrate the first step of laughter yoga? Smile, not Antim Sanskaram. Smile. Palm to palm. Some people not doing it right. Palm to palm. First step. Second step of laughter yoga is deep breathing. You know, yoga is an integral part of breathing. So, or vice versa. So how do you breathe with laughter yoga? Everybody stretch out all the rice you eat and rice, too much rice in the afternoon. Too much stew, too much curry. Remove that. Stretch to the back, go the back, take a deep breath and inhale. Release your breath. Come on, repeat after me now. Release, release, relax, relax. Stretch to the back, stretch to the back, as much back as you can. Hold your breath. Inhale. Release. I have prizes of my books for those people who do it right. So you can collect them after the session. Some people not doing it right. Last chance. Okay. Relax, relax, relax. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Hold your breath. Inhale. So that's a second step of laughter yoga. Third step of laughter yoga is childlike play. Childlike play means how children play. Children play different than humans. Humans are, too stoic, too autocratic, too snobbish. Children play in a unique way. So we'll bring childlike play at the workplace. This is called the third critical step of laughter yoga. So if you're playing a cricket with a child and the child has, clean bowled you, how's the child's reaction going to be? Child's reaction is going to be, I'm going to demonstrate first and then I want all of you to do. And whoever does it right can claim a prize, okay? Very good, yay! Repeat. Very good, yay! Very good, yay! So that's a third step of laughter yoga. I've forgotten the first step. Who's going to remind me the first step? Second step. Third step. One more time, third step. Last step of laughter yoga, and then you are laughter yoga certified. So as trainers you can use, as teachers you can use, as individuals you can use. And Laughter Yoga University has done research to come to conclusion. If you use this for 5 to 10 minutes every day, you will have more lung capacity utilization that will keep you clear of all disease in your life. Okay? That's documented research. And if you, as a trainer, use it after lunch, it's an ideal proposition for you as a teacher or a trainer. So what's the fourth step? Fourth step is laughter exercises. And the inventor invented over 100,000 exercises. So one is very simple. One is you've gone to the market here in Kochi to buy some fabric. So you tell the guy, can I have 4 meters, please? So how does he measure? I'll demonstrate first and then all of you are going to copy. Yeah, ha, 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 ha. Come on, he's measuring the cloth. Yeah, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, ha, ha, ha. Second type of laughter is eating banana in Kerala. Okay? So how I'll eat the banana in Kerala? Yeah, ha, 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 ha. Come on, join me. Kerala banana. Yeah, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, ha, 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 ha. Third type of laughter exercise is called credit card bill laughter. So you get your credit card bill at the end of the month and you are scanning through the bill. So how I'll demonstrate first and then you're going to copy. So I'm looking at the bill of mine. My bill has come from the bank, Indian Overseas Bank. Yeah. Ha, 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 ha. Come on. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunil. So that was the perfect ice-breaking session after the lunch. Dr. Sunil Gupta, he has come all the way from Delhi and he knows Malayalam. Brilliant. Once again, thank you so much. Please give a round of applause to Dr. Sunil Gupta. So now, we have a very, very beautiful and talented lady all the way from Bangalore, Dr. Shom Singh. She is a Bengali. Yeah, she corrected now. I'm a Bengali, as well as a Bangalorean. She's a PhD holder in marketing management from MIT Sloan School of Management. She is a NASSCOM 10K mentor, director, Center for Entrepreneurial Excellence, Bangalore, and she's the founder of Unspun Consulting Group. She is a visiting lecturer at various B schools in India. Dr. Som is passionate about strategy, marketing, and advertising. Today, she is going to talk to us about transforming India through digital education. Yes, Dr. Som Singh, onto the stage.
Namaskaram. Well, you know, what a great suit to follow post Dr. Sunil, right? With all that laughter. When we were growing up, we were told that, you know, do not exercise after eating because everything may just come out. But I think all that came out was the lethargy, you know, typically what happens, you know, there's one commonality between Malayalis and Bengalis. Not one, there are many. Besides the fact that we both come from coastal regions, fish is our delicacy. Education is our right. Communism is our ethos, which I hope is changing now. We love rice. A life without rice is just absolutely you know, unimaginable for Malayalis and Bengalis. And what happens after rice is you feel sleepy. So in Bengal, after 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., every shop used to be closed until just last 1 year. It was the right to sleep, the right to eat, the right to education, and the right to sleep. We felt that it was an inherent thing in us. So I think what Dr. Sunil did was, like, he ensured that forget about that right for some time. Let's have the right to knowledge, the right to feel empowered. So firstly, thank you so much to Chandra and her absolutely wonderful team who has passionately put together this summit, and what a great summit it is, right? We grew up with the Guru Shishya Parampara, right? Our Guru is the epitome of knowledge, or rather next to God. If you ask me, a child after he or she turns 3 and 4, spends most of their time with their Guru, which is the trainer, whatever you want to call it, the educationist, than they do with their parents. 8 to 9 long hours in school is what they spend, right? Because they believe that harnessing the knowledge is the best way to live a better and a more fulfilled life. Therefore, the importance and the necessity of such a summit. So while Chandra talked about all the things I do, one of the things I do is I read and write on the Vedas. I believe that it's very, very integral to understand the fundamentals that lie in the science of Vedas and Upanishads. And one of the things that I've learned, or rather every time when I was growing up, I've learned doing is, before you do naman to your Guru, you wake up in the morning, you look at your hand, right? Well, I don't have a place like Dr. Sunil to keep it here, so I'm gonna use somehow here and there, and I'm gonna talk about it, is that no matter what an astrologer, no matter what anybody, or a palmist, or a tarot card reader has told you, remember, the ability for you to change your future lies in your hand. Karagare vasate Lakshmi, Karamadhe Saraswati, Karamule sthite Gauri, Prabhate Karidarshanam. If these are the 3 things you say every morning, which means it is in my hand and my hand alone is the ability to work hard, to strive for better, to acquire knowledge, and therefore gain money. Money is a byproduct, right? It automatically comes with education. A lot of people have talked about, you know, what is real education? There's a fine line between being literate and educated. Today when I was in the fly, there was a gentleman who was sitting next to me, and he saw me reading an article on a particular site, and I contribute to you know, this site on a regular basis. I write articles. He asked me, so what do you do? I said, I pass on knowledge. He said, what? No, what is your degree? What do you do? What do you do for a living? I said, I pass on knowledge. He said, you must be kidding me. I said, why? He said, no, who can earn money by passing knowledge? What does that mean? It's very vague. I'm like, sir, you wouldn't be seated in this plane today next to me if that guru of yours did not take the earnest inclination towards you to pass on knowledge and make you who you are. So start by being grateful. So give a big round of applause to all the gurus for whom you're seated here today. Because somebody took the time out beyond their life, beyond their implications to make sure that they impart knowledge in you. People look at my card and say, Dr. Shom. So what, are you a medical doctor? I said, no, I'm a PhD. Okay, from where? Sometimes these questions are irrelevant. The truth about education is not just it makes you differentiate between cause and effect, helps you decide between right and wrong. The truth of education is that it makes you enlightened. It makes you humble. It makes you eligible to earn a living without depending on a job. That is the real value of education. If education and training is just to make you job ready, then this country, which has been invaded over thousands and thousands of years, and we keep saying that we are a services country, we are not becoming a product country. And I am here to talk about digital. Let me tell you something. It is Aryabhatta who invented zero is why digital even exists today. So be grateful. If he did not invent the zero, digital, which is a binary of 0 and 1, wouldn't even exist today. Yes, we were an extremely culturally, educationally, resource-rich country, is why we were invaded again and again, and we lost a little in the way. But when we bend down and do namaskara, let not somebody think that is your weakness. Being humble is the biggest strength. So when you bend down, it is a show of respect and show of humility, and that's what education does to us. That's the beauty of education. Just having degrees make you literate. And the problem with literacy is that the moment somebody doesn't give you a job, you become paranoid. My dad's a psychiatrist. Both my parents are doctors. My dad's a psychiatrist. And trust me, when I decided not to become a doctor, and I know you won't believe, in the family that I come from, where everybody has, everybody is into the field of medicine, I said I want to do management, or rather marketing, to be very precise. My dad said, you've gone mad. Are you going to go door to door and sell things? Are you mad? You come from a family of doctors, you're going to go door to door and sell things and think. That's the imagination, right? Parents are grooming their children to become doctors and lawyers and so-called labeled professionals. And when they're doing that, a lot of artists are getting lost. A lot of creative people are getting lost. A lot of authors are getting lost. I'm sure when, Dinah was getting groomed by her parents, they didn't tell you become an author, right? Nobody does. That's the problem. That's why we're making our kids job ready. And why am I talking about this? The power of digital is to disable that. Is to disable you from just thinking about education as a medium to earn money. Digital transforms you and makes you willed enough to believe that education is about creating jobs for others. Education is about becoming self-empowered. Education is about sharing with 10 other people and making them empowered. That is the reality of education. Education is not a degree, because trust me, when you don't have a job, nobody cares about the degrees that you have earned. When a company decides to lay off, and yesterday itself I wrote a big article in Times of India about Snapdeal. All of you know Snapdeal? Do you know how many people they're laying off? 600 to 700 people. And trust me, a lot of them are going to hit depression. The rate of depression amongst youth in India has gone up between 2001 to 2016 by 38%. Now everybody questions, right? Given that there are so many new mediums of education, digital has come in, so many things are happening, why is depression at such a high rate? It's because the curriculum in the system of education is not changing with the changing needs of the jobs. with the changing needs of an entrepreneur, with the changing needs of a startup. None of that is happening. Today, why I give kudos to Chandra and her team is why bringing in trainers of diverse nature is so important is because one needs to see beyond the nomenclature of what you learn in just your schools and colleges. People who are studying engineering, you read a subject called strength of material. Trust me, no engineering job that's going to ever come across your way is going to use that subject. Well, I'm not saying it's not important. Yes, it's important to learn. Just like your parents taught you some important things to learn. Just like in a Muslim family, it's important to know how to do namaz. Now, is it essential for you to do that in job? No, it's not. That's a part of your culture. You should pay importance to it. Yes, the Christians have to go to church because that's a part of your culture. You need to respect that. But it's not the Bible that makes you job ready. It's not the Bible that makes you completely aware of what you ultimately you're going to do when it comes to skills. You need to pay respect to your culture, but you need to learn the importance of using what is going to ultimately make you sustainable and self-empowered. And what I mean by self-empowered is very simple. I will not graduate out of my college with a certificate that is going to define my life. No, I'm going to graduate out of college with skills that's going to shape my future. Can we agree to that? And those skills are not only just in the hands of the trainers alone. It is a self-introspection process. So don't be scared to sit with your parents and ask them to help you and handhold you and ask you questions, or rather question them and ask them, why are you asking me to take up engineering if I don't believe I can be a great engineer? Why should I practice medicine when I know I'm not going to be a good doctor? Why can't I pick up a paintbrush, paint well, so that I can get remunerated in millions, get applauded across the world, and maybe one day my painting will make a place next to Leonardo da Vinci's in Louvre in Paris? Why not? If all of you guys, I don't know how many of you have read the Gita, but let me tell you something. Even in Gita, Krishna, who we believe in amongst Hindus he was incarnation of Lord Vishnu, doesn't tell Arjun to do something. Gita is a question and answer. Arjuna keeps asking Krishna questions because he wants clarifications. He doesn't believe that everything that is in front of him is the truth and truth alone. So he keeps questioning him. And he keeps asking him, tell me why should I do this? Tell me why not? And at the end of the Gita, the shloka, I'm going to just say what it means in English. It's Krishna says this, see, I have given you and told you all that I know of. Does not mean I know it all. I will leave it to your best judgment to decide what is best for you. So your parents, your gurus, you yourself are going to have a plethora of experiences through the rest of your life. But you have to choose what is best for you. Don't blame somebody else for your destiny. And one thing I will tell you. Every morning, get up, stand in front of the mirror, and talk to yourself. If you don't, you'll miss out meeting a wonderful person in this world. Instead of emulating others, look at yourself and try to be the best example that you can be. That's very important. So coming to digital, you know, why is digital shaping the world? Why is digital transforming the world? I run a trust. The trust is called a Center for Entrepreneurial Excellence. You know, I spent many years in the field of marketing and management and strategy, and I've headed strategy for very large companies like Verizon, Red Hat. One fine day, and let me tell you, I used to make a lot of money. One fine day, it was like a wake-up call. Did I want to go back into that AC room every day, look at the computer, look at a bunch of emails, and answer them, sometimes without applying logic because I have to answer them? Because there is a decorum, there is a discipline, there is a process that I have to follow. I question myself. was I built, was I made, was I honed to just follow a method without questioning it? Or was I made to disrupt? Not very far from here is Kanyakumari. And trust me, I come there every year. I may not have the opportunity to sit at the rock where Vivekananda sat himself for meditation, but I sit in the room where his idol is there, and I sit and I meditate there, and I ask, what did you find here that changed your life? And I do that every year because I find something new every year. Evolution is the only constant in humans. You evolve. Swami Vivekananda was a very ordinary student. I don't know how many of you know, he never got more than 47% in his school and college. Never. He somehow scraped to pass. He lost his dad at a very young age, and his name was Narendranath Datta. They were a big zamindar, what you call as a very large bureaucratic family, had a lot of money, but with the death of the father, they lost everything. And what do you learn from that? That nothing is constant. Just because you have something today, don't get comfortable, because you may lose it tomorrow. So learning, why I say that I do not believe in the concept of degrees and certificates is because it makes you comfortable. It makes you lethargic. You stop pursuing the road of excellence. So Swamiji, when he lost his father, he lost his mojo. He lost his enthusiasm to pursue something. And one fine day he heard about this mad God believer called Ramakrishna. And he said, okay, I'm going to go meet him. I want to know why my life is like this. Everybody says he's seen God. I want to go meet him. So he went and met Ramakrishna. And he asked him this question. Have you seen God? He didn't ask, is there God? And why I say this is that every individual you meet in your life, give them a benefit of doubt. Don't judge anyone. If somebody says they have done something and they can help you, open yourself up for that. Don't believe in hearsay. Don't believe what you've heard from others. When you've come here today, don't just listen to the people who are standing on the stage. We are not exceptional than you are. We all are born with the same brain capacity, and science proves that. It's just that few of us use it more than the others, which means all of us are born exceptional. It is you who choose to be ordinary. So the choice is in your hand. So don't just listen to people like us. All those people who are seated next to you, get to know them. It's the value of your network, it's the value of your relationship that is going to cost you in your life ultimately. It is that what is going to last you a lifetime, nothing else. And that's education, learning about each other. So when Swamiji asked Ramakrishna, have you seen God? He gave him the benefit of doubt that maybe this man has seen God. He was not sure, but he gave him the benefit of doubt. And he said, if you have seen God, then show him to me. If you have seen, show him to me. So when you're seated next to someone and you want to know about them, learn about them, ask them what they're great at, what they feel they're good at. And they say, if you know that well, then can you teach me too? Don't shy away from learning just because you're an engineer. Think today, almost 67 to 70% of those who qualify from engineering end up doing a marketing or a management. If you believe that engineering was the ultimate, then why do you need management skills? The question, right? In 1920s, MBA was not a curriculum. People had to work for years to become MBAs. It used to take them time. So experience would make somebody a management expert. They would grow to become a manager after several years of experience. Then people realized that why to wait 10 or 15 years if I can teach this to someone? And that's what a trainer comes into play. It was a trainer, he was a management guru who ultimately created the curriculum of MBA and said, let somebody who has the right inclinations, skills, learn it from day one. So you don't have to wait 10, 12 years to become a manager. You can become one if you are able to impart the skills, if you are able to inculcate the skills by learning. Just like that, entrepreneurship became a curriculum in Babson. And it started growing. So people believed that skills could be converted into curriculum, could be imparted in people and individuals, and you can shape their life. So what Ramakrishna did was, he held Swami Vivekananda's hand and said, not only will I show you God, I will give you the power to change people's lives. And guess what? Everybody believes that a Swami, or rather, priest or someone, he lives a completely holy, untouchable, undoable life. No. You have to experience everything to know what not to do. Swamiji, when he was in Varanasi, and why am I talking about this is you have to understand the relation between that and how digital is going to transform your life. So today you are connected with thousands of people on Facebook. How many of you have a LinkedIn account here? Just raise your hands. Almost 80% of you have a LinkedIn account. How many of you have over 500 connections on LinkedIn? How confident are you amongst all those of you who have raised your hands that if you were not doing what you're doing today, if somehow your steady income comes to a stop, these connections that you have will immediately help you find something that will help you lead a sustainable life? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what that means? It just shows the shallowness that exists in us in our relationships. It just looks good to have 500 plus connections, right? It's a power, I got something. It's an achievement, just like a degree. It's an achievement. What did you do with it? Nothing. How many times do you reach out to those people and ask them how they're doing, what they're doing in their life, congratulate them on their work anniversary or even an accomplishment they've done? No. When one day you will fall flat on your face, will then you remember the need for these people, and then when you reach out to them, they will not care. Why would they care when you only reach out to people in terms of need? And that's the beauty between, that's something that doesn't exist between a trainer and a learner, right? Because in a guru and a sishya, it's not just give and take of a certain format. The guru looks at sishya and says, you are finally the carrier of the knowledge that I have given you, and you're going to change the world tomorrow. And my legacy will be through the work that you do. When we build relations on LinkedIn, or rather Facebook, when you talk about digital transformation, when you talk about changing the world through digital education, ideally, all these connections that you have should be able to add value to your life in some way or the other. If you have a group of people in your LinkedIn connection who are, let's say, from a certain financial or let's say FSDC, some BFSI background, and you know that that part has a role to play in your career, you should ideally be able to reach out to them, meet up with them, and see how you can learn those skills. If you have a group of trainers, educationists, what are their expertise? What do they train on? LinkedIn is very popular for education curriculum, right? So you know Coursera. How many of you have heard of Coursera? How many of you have taken a course on Coursera? 4 or 5 of them. Let me tell you something. 35% of the courses that are provided on Coursera are for free. And out of those 35%, 30% of the courses are offered free by Ivy League universities. So your dream to become an Ivy Leaguer is just a click away. The question is, did you make that effort? You were so busy liking the posts of your friends and your relatives that you lost time to use digital to discover a new dimension of your life. And that's what I said. Evolution is the only constant in humans' life. And if you did not evolve with the advent of tools and technologies, then all that you did was, you believed ignorance was bliss, and I believe ignorance is an act of foolishness. It's only a fool who decides to ignore. And that's the difference between you were born exceptional and you decided to be ordinary. Because you decided to ignore the exceptional capabilities that already existed in you. Now digital. Why I talked about Swamiji and why I talked about, why do I go and sit in the rock is that, when Swamiji started traveling the world, right? He used to feel very disturbed. He used to feel that people are difficult to change. And with my knowledge alone, I cannot change people. I can't. They would want to have to be open to change. It is not a one-sided, one-handed effort. Like Sir said, it takes two to clap, it takes two to tango. It always takes two to come together to make something beautiful happen. Even you pray with two hands, it is not one. Whether it's to Allah, whether it's to Jesus, whether it's to any God in the world, it is with two. That's the power. It takes your mind and your ability to open up and to make something happen. When Swamiji was traveling and he felt that, he was frustrated, he had given up. He said, I can't do this anymore. And that's why he came to the end of India after traveling everywhere. The most beautiful place. I think this is the biggest spiritual hub that you guys have, and I feel that there's a reason it exists, right? It exists for one's ability to introspect and ideate and understand where they truly belong. So when he came here, 3 days, all he did was cry. He just cried for 3 days. Sometimes it's okay to cry. A tear in a man's eye is not a sign of weakness, just like a tear in a woman's eye is not a sign of weakness. Just like a man is meant to do a certain task, remember one thing for all the ladies in the room, a woman is a womb plus a man. We have the power to give life, we have the power to procreate. The biggest power lies in us. So if you feel that you can impart certain things in the man in your life, don't shy away. It is always important to have two to make a cohabited learning experience exist. It's very, very important. So he gave up. He said, I can't do this anymore. I can't change people's life. They have to want to do it themselves. And he cried, and he realized, just because there has been downfalls, you can't give up. All power lies within yourself. You can do anything and everything, was a realization he had at the Vivekananda Memorial Rock. He said, I will stop blaming others for my shortcomings, for my downfalls. I will continue to do what I have to do. People will change. And trust me, that yogi, that Swami today is still celebrated across the world. Chicago has a lane dedicated in his name just because that man did not give up. And you celebrate him, you worship him, you pray him. Thousands of visitors flock everywhere in the world to celebrate his birth anniversary. People come to celebrate in the Memorial Rock. But he was not a graduate with 95.5 percentile. He did not crack the CAT. He did not go to any IIM. He did not do any of that. He decided, I am not going to let my shortcomings ever tell me that I am incapable of anything. And that's what we educationists are supposed to do. Digital has the power to do two things. It reduces the gap between two people. It gets two people closer. So it gives you access to people, to educational curriculum, to universities, to skills you never had access to otherwise 20 years back. So how are you going to leverage it? You are going to not just, I'm saying it's not that you don't need to socialize, it's important to socialize. But if you spend 90% of your time Facebooking, take 50% of that time and discover courses that's going to make you less redundant, more skilled, more self-empowered, and you have to stop depending on the jobs that you have in the market today. So nobody can say if thousands of people are getting laid off, your life is not going to get impacted because of those 1,000 people. You will still continue. And guess what? How do we do that? So when I started my trust, we are the biggest, so Anspan is the biggest partner of Google in India. So we won their Black Box Challenge in 2014. So we use the developers tool sets to actually crawl over all public profile of people. So I can tell what, sir, you do online, what are the things you like, what are the things you don't like, because digital makes your life an open book. I can do all of that, and you know why? Because when you were signing on to Gmail or you were signing on to Facebook, you forgot to read the terms and conditions because it was a long list, right? How many of you have ever read the terms and conditions in Google and Facebook? We just do a click. You know what it says? One of the paragraphs says that they can use your data for the purpose of research and share it with their partners for the purpose of research and can be used for all marketing and ad activities. You didn't read it. We made money out of it. Simple. But we didn't want to stop there. We said, how do we empower people in rural India? 65% of India's youth is under the age of 35. What a young country we are. But for every 14 that graduates, only one gets a job. What a redundant country we are. Such a youthful country, yet so redundant. So we changed that. We said, we're going to change that. So how digital transforms people's life? We made all this, you would have heard of Google AdWords, the Google certification program, which usually only people in the urban sector, affiliate to. We said, we're going to make that available to all the rural guys. We're going to break the language barrier. What is the biggest weakness most of us suffer from? A lot of people say mother tongue influence, right? Language is a constraint. You may be a very smart guy, but because you can't speak English well should not define whether you should get a job. And a lot of people who get rejected at a job interview is because they can't speak the foreign language well. I'm sure Diana is affluent in her own languages and she speaks English fabulously. I speak Bengali fabulously, I speak Kannada fabulously, I speak 5 other languages very well, including French, because I want to learn. Now think about it. If you are a Malayali, you could learn all of digital in Malayalam, right? What I mean by digital is, you know how to run ads in Malayalam, you know how to do analytics in Malayalam, all of that. And when you're learning, English is not the language that is used. Because most of this work is back-end, which means running of ads, analytics and all is back-end, you don't need to face a customer, it does not matter. It does not matter whether you are fluent in English or not. As long as you can read and write English, it's sufficient. We trained 6,000 students across villages, government schools, including Ramakrishna Mission. Ramakrishna Mission tied up with us a year back to change the lives of the polytechnic students because they were not getting jobs. And you know what we do? So next time when you go and apply for a digital marketing course, let's say in Coursera or Manipal, any of these, the trainers are people who are trained by us. They're sitting in some remote village. In Aurangabad, sometimes in a village like Kunnur, just using WebEx, just with the power of internet, lives are being changed. They sit at home and make up to 500 rupees per hour and they get to choose how many hours they want to work. Our trainers seated in India, in rural villages, are training Americans, Australians, Swedish people, people in Sri Lanka, everywhere. That's the power of digital. That's how digital is changing lives. Digital is empowering you to decide what's best for you. I know my time is up. So I'm going to close this session by just saying two things. One is a shloka in Sanskrit that again I've grown up learning, and I think all teachers here should reckon with it, is Shanashaha kanashaschaiva vidyam artham cha sadhayet shanatyage kuto vidyam kanatyage kuto dhanam. And it means a man who wastes any point of his time not acquiring knowledge from others and benefiting from it, thereby loses every opportunity to earn money, a better living, and a better life. So, can we all promise today in this auditorium that we will make ourselves efficient? We will take a risk in life. It's okay. If we win, we will lead. If we fail, we will guide. Somebody else will learn from our failures. So digital is a tool in your hands to change the lives not only that exist within you, around you, but those that never even met you. So that's the power of digital. Change, create, experience, survive. Thank you everyone for your time today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you
I'm
so
not
much.
sure if anybody has any questions, but if
Yeah.
you do, I'm always available here. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Som. Please stay. Please stay. When I met Dr. Som last time, you actually inspired by sharing your personal story of struggle. And that's what actually inspired me to aspire for, bigger things in my life. Would you like to share, just 2 minutes, your personal story, please?
So I started by saying that, I come from a family of doctors, right? And I decided to pursue marketing. So very honestly, my dad actually threw me out of the house. I had just 1,000 rupees in my pocket, and that 1,000 rupees I had earned during Durga Puja, when my relatives had given me money for, pocket expenses. I took that 1,000 rupees, left home, a cocooned, shelled home. I studied in a convent, had the best of life always, and finally I was about to pursue my dream where my parents had said, sorry, you don't have our blessings. I had topped West Bengal board. I got an 8th rank in joint entrance, which is very rare, and I decided not to pursue medicine. So I left home with 1,000 rupees in my pocket. I took a train. That ticket costed me about 575 rupees. I'm talking about the late 90s. I reached Bangalore via Chennai, and that time you had to change trains. And trust me, once you get in Chennai, nobody knows a word. Even if they know a word, they will not speak to you in anything except for Tamil. So I had to use sign languages, and that's when I started respecting the power of hearing and speaking. It's so important. So important to appreciate what you have in life, because that's all I could use to convince somebody to show me where the next station was and everything. I landed in Bangalore. I studied in Mount Carmel. While I got a scholarship seat because I had very good percentage marks, but I had no money to survive. I had absolutely no money to survive. So I went to a paying guest to stay. That paying guest belonged to a Sindhi lady. She, what really inspired me, like she said, I inspired her, she inspired me. She had only a piece of land. She had nothing. Her husband was dead. Her son, had a physical disability, so she had to run the entire family. She had 3 other daughters. So she converted that land into a paying guest, and what she did was she had a tailoring shop, she had a beauty parlor, all in that same premises. So I went and I told her that, I'm very good at speaking and convincing people, talking, because I used to write for Telegraph during my school days. I was a young writer then, and I used to make 500 rupees of stipend. So I knew that I was good at writing, at my creative skills. So can I sit at the beauty parlor? So I would finish college, come from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, sit at the parlor, talk to clients, upsell products to them, help them with their services. I even learned how to do threading, how to do waxing, because I had no money and I had to survive. I sat at a tailoring shop. I would stitch clothes during the weekends, especially the hemming, doing the fall picot and all of that. And guess what? I had never known how to even pick up a needle. I had never entered a kitchen in my life, and I was doing all of that. And I learned how to make homemade chocolates from a girl who would stay in my PG. And I would take those chocolates to my college and sell them to the girls who could afford to buy them, because they were gifting their boyfriends and girlfriends on Valentine's Day. I could not even afford to have a boyfriend that time because it would be an expensive proposition. I had to gift him something. I had no money. So anyways, I realized one thing during that phase, and that's what made me who I am today. Money is nothing. Will is everything. Willpower is everything. No matter which background you come from, let that not decide the life that you're going to lead. Imagine from the background I came from, where I was dropped. And then when I topped Bangalore University, after 3 years, my dad came to meet me. He held me and he cried. And he said, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because you started respecting every other job in the world. And that's what it takes to be good at what you do. Respect for others, respect for every individual, respect for every job. You never know what will make you sustain. And trust me, doing all those work, I used to make close to 5,000 to 6,000 rupees a month, which would pay for my PG, my food, and my books and everything else. Life is the biggest teacher. You are the biggest learner. Just be open. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Som. Please stay. We have a small memento to be. May I request Mr. Satish Kumar, the director of JSS, Trivandrum University of Kerala. No questions because she's down. She'll be coming down. So sorry for that. Please, sir. So that is Dr. Som Singh. Thank you so much once again for coming to Kochi and inspiring us. Thank you so much once again. So as I said, we are slightly again behind schedule, so we'll quickly get on to the next session, which is the panel discussion on e-learning, future of training. May I invite the panelists onto the stage? 3 chairs. So we have first the moderator, Professor Biju Vidayathil, the director of Amity Business School, Kochi. Currently, he is the director of Amity Business School and he is heading the university's school at Kerala. He is the winner of Rashtradeepika Business Excellence Award 2014, which he received from Chief Minister Sri Oommen Chandy. He is also the business head at Reliance Retail, setting up stores in Kerala. He has worked with Crompton Greaves, Modi Xerox, as well as FACT Petrochemicals Division and Ion Exchange Finance Limited. So that is the moderator. He is the moderator for the day, Professor Biju Vidayathil. May I invite Professor Biju onto the stage, please? The panelists for the day. We have 3 eminent panelists, all technologists who is going to come up. Mr. Amit Vincent, he is the Director, Learning Services of Apposite Learning Solutions. Amit has over 18 years of experience in the training and learning industry. He has been creating innovative and trend-setting classroom and e-learning products for companies like Digital Think, Convertsys, and the Microsoft Corporation. Amit was part of the Microsoft Learning team as a content development manager and has worked closely with Microsoft certified trainers to create training products that would be used by learners globally. May I invite Amit onto the stage, please? He is currently the founder of Apposite Learning Solutions, a learning and development organization that provides next generation and cutting edge learning solutions to Fortune 500 companies like Microsoft, Sutherland, and NIIT. That is Mr. Amit Vincent on stage. Next, let me invite Mr. Ram Mohan Nair onto the stage. He is our panelist for the day. He was the former CEO of Yes India Vision TV. Mr. Ram Mohan is highly passionate about software-oriented system analyst. And he's an entrepreneur in the education software industry. His organization, EduNet Tele Classrooms Limited, has developed an e-learning platform, namely tutormind.com. Tutormind is focusing on one-to-one online tuitions across the world. Any educated person with passion for teaching can offer tuitions on Tutormind. Next, on stage, I'm going to invite Mr. Venkatesh Tyagarajan. He is the CEO and Principal Consultant of Cabot Solutions in Infopark. His organization, the Cabot Solutions has helped build from ground up to current team size of 100 employees. He's a management consultant. Venkatesh has delivered projects for different government agencies in Halifax, Canada, including the Department of Natural Resources, Port of Halifax, and others. He has also assisted the Port of Halifax with their enterprise software selection project to get a new system in place for real estate and finance management. So we have a very vibrant and eminent panelists for this panel discussion. The panel discussion on e-learning, the future of training, begins right now. Over to you, Professor Biju.
As normal and as usual in all these panel discussions, we always start late. But that's all right. I think I'll wind up by the appointed time, which is about 3:30. So I have with me 3 eminent people who actually practice this profession in various fields. So what I thought is that, I will let them speak to you for about 3-4 minutes about their own field of activities and how they are contributing to this e-learning, the whole domain. Just before we start off, I think most of you would probably be aware of this, but otherwise, I thought I'll just have a quick word or two about these e-learning initiatives, the advantages for that. We are right now dealing with Generation Y and then the millennials, the type of people who are not interested in sitting in one place and learning. The way I used to do, and I'm not too sure about some of my panelists, but probably they would belong to Generation Y. So the e-learning system is about 24/7 accessibility. The pedagogical tools are very innovative. In fact, I was just having a look at the Adobe Captivate 9, and then I was amazed, and we still are stuck with PowerPoints, and PowerPoint should be on its way out anytime soon. So the pedagogical improvements, and then we have enhanced collaborations and research between between the participants. It's greener, cost effective, especially as you would see. And then, it's quite flexible, it's mobile, it's mobility, it's cost saving, and so on and so forth. So when I was just trying to get this thing into my, to my thinking, I was just wondering how the customer training, which I think most companies don't do these days, can be done using this e-training. Because you can always have the flexibility of small pieces of information which you can be downloaded into your computer or wherever, and you can see. Why I'm saying this is, most of us own technological marvels. It could be your mobile phone, it could be your audio, video amplifiers, it could be your motor car, and I'm sure that most of us don't even use 10 or not more than 10-20% of the capacity of those quite sophisticated instruments. There's no customer training. You talk about the smartest, the biggest companies in the world, no customer training at all, be it Microsoft or Android or Google or whatever. So maybe this can help it, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of things, scope for this particular thing. So let's hear from the experts, the people who actually are in this domain. So let me request Mr. Amit to take up you can either sit here and speak, or you can use a stage. Okay, fine. 3-4 minutes.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Amit, and I am the founder of Apposite Learning Solutions. And as Chandra introduced earlier, so I was part of the Microsoft Learning team in Hyderabad and in Redmond. And before that, I was a curriculum developer and various companies like Digital Think and Convergys. So most of my experience in my career has been with e-learning, creating different forms of e-learning, right from the days where we used to give the e-learning content in CDs, right? And then, slowly we graduated to USBs. And then we are right now at a stage where everything is online, everything is digital, people can access from anywhere around the world. So what we do at Apposite Learning is we help our customers develop innovative learning solutions for their either end customers or the users. So for Microsoft, for example, we create instructor-led training, and that is something that that you can relate to. So classroom training is what, like the NITs, the AppTechs, they provide these trainings to various students on various topics, like say .NET or Visual Basic or any of those topics. So we create the classroom content from here and give it to Microsoft, and Microsoft in turn distributes it to them. So it's a great amount of satisfaction because Microsoft expects us to use the latest technologies and the practices in instructor-led training, in classroom training. And the other great satisfaction is that these courses are delivered all around the globe. So it's not just, say, in the US. So we have customers who are in war-torn countries like Bosnia and Herzegovina and Sarajevo who take these courses. So it's kind of spread globally. While we do a lot of classroom training, we also create a lot of e-learning. And when it comes to e-learning, there's a lot more to play around with, to create really innovative stuff. And that's where we come in and provide that level of innovation. So for Microsoft, we recently used the micro-learning technologies where we create short 2 to 3 minute videos and on various topics which they upload on their platform and the users download and take. There are some other clients, like a client called Sutherland Global Services. So for them, we provided a gamification-based learning solution. So as part of the e-learning, we integrated with a lot of games so that users can play these games and learn the concepts along the way. So these are some of the emerging trends that you will hear about when you talk about e-learning. One is definitely the micro-learning, short bursts of content that can be delivered and consumed easily. A great example of that is if you heard about an app called Google Primer. Google Primer is a great app where you have just 2 to 3 sentences in each, and you can access it only via the mobile, and you can just click each card and you can learn content. So that's what we're talking about, micro learning. When it comes to gamification, it kind of differs based on the kind of users who are there. So really basic level users, we have to get down to the kind of what is most simplest for them. And the complex users, we really have to get into giving them points, rewards, badges. So a lot of stuff we can do that. And finally, what we are trending right now is into immersive learning. And we'll talk a little bit as we go along in the discussion. Immersive learning is about how do we use the various virtual reality devices that are available here right now. You have the Google Cardboard, you have Oculus Rift, you have Microsoft Holo. These are all devices that various companies are creating, and how we use these devices to ensure that the learners have a great experience in learning. So these are all some of the areas where we are engaged with our clients like Microsoft, with NIIT, with Sutherland, and a bunch of other clients to provide these kind of innovative solutions that either is at the cusp of becoming a trend or is a way ahead. So you will see all of this, say, in couple of years, or 4 or 5 years down the line, it will become a norm. Like when, like in the early 2000s, e-learning was just getting into the stream. It was more of classroom training. But now e-learning is past its prime. People are asking, okay, what's next after e-learning, right? So that is what I think we're going to have as part of the discussion. What are those trends? How do we achieve it? What are the benefits of each of that? And then, that is what my aim will be, to impart some of our experiences that we've had in Apposite Learning, and to share it with you so that you can know what's in the industry out there. So thank you, Professor.
So he comes from an area where, he is a content developer. He provides content, am I right? Mostly, using a lot of technological platforms which are available. Now let's listen to Ram Mohan. Yep.
Good afternoon. Well, I am just extending further. I belong to a company which make an e-learning platform called TutorMine, a gold mine of tutors, maybe students too. Like Som ma'am was saying, like Swamiji went to Ramakrishna Paramahams asking for a question. I have come across many students longing for a good teacher to train. And this is across the world. Happened to be in Dubai, I found it is too complicated to get a good tutor to teach. Girl children have to go far away and get trained and come back. Security issues, time spent. Is there a solution for it? And as he said, of course, e-learning is passing out, but that is still relevant. So we created a small platform which can connect tutors across the world and students across the world. Now, who is a tutor? I found not a paid tutor or a teacher is not the only person who can teach. Anyone who is learned. Maybe he's employed somewhere, he is a retired person, and maybe a homemaker, learned person who can part with his or her knowledge. I found 50% men, 50% women. I'll tell you, only 10% of employable women are employed, which means 40%, a whopping 40% of employable, learned, qualified women folk are held behind at home. If they can spend some time, now internet is open, computers are available everywhere, they can spend some time, open the computer, join with an e-learning course, offer their knowledge all across the world. And students can log in onto this e-learning platform and get learning knowledge from learned people. There are excellent, passionate tutors available. So we at TutorMine, we connect these two people across the world. We have thousands of tutors registering every month. It's a free joining platform. Anyone sitting here who thinks, hey, I know something, I can spare my knowledge. It's not like, LKG or primary class or high school graduation. Anything and everything, even customer training, anything and everything can be provided through this. Just go register as a tutor or as a student and look forward for what is available there. Maybe a student can just join there and what exactly he requires, just type in there The mail goes to all these people. Whoever is interested can come forward and say, hey, I am here, and this is my charge for it. And online wallet is there. The payment gets transferred. All integrated platform. We have PowerPoint presentation there. We have video presentations there. The desktop could be shared. So the laptop that you carry and the internet connection that you have can be utilized for earning money and can provide the knowledge irrespective of where are you put up and where are you there and what timing that you have. So e-learning is not passing out. It is very much coming in, because I found only about 10% of the people who could actually use this thing are using this. So a whole 90% of people are available. Technology is improving, and we will be using the kind of contents that are coming forward, and digital contents. So ours is more like a medium connecting all these people across. Contents are coming up from one side, and students, they are finding flexible timing. Their continuous learning is useful. So Tutormind is in the process of connecting people across to share the knowledge what people have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ram. So he is into the business of giving a platform, an enabler, getting people across. And now we will listen to Mr. Venkatesh, who probably would be giving that platform, the technology part of it.
Hi, so my name is Venkatesh. I run a company called Cabot Solutions in InfoPark. So I'm here in two aspects. One, as a software service developer, we are into mobile and gamification and all those kinds of technologies, and we have partnered with our clients across US and Europe to develop. So the content is theirs, but we just develop the technology in delivering. So may it be virtual reality, the Google cardboard boxes, the VR, AR, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So we do things like that, enabling our clients to deliver these services. But secondly, and more importantly, as a services company having close to 100 plus employees, we are a big consumer of e-learning. So in terms of Coursera's and Plural Sites and Lindas and all those things. So we believe a lot in e-learning, and I see a lot of students here, right? So we have a lot of students, and so we do these recruitment challenges and everything like that. So one of the things that we actually look forward is, like I think when Som ma'am was speaking, she spoke about Coursera, and the courses are available for free. So one of the things that I typically ask when somebody comes in for an interview is that, have they ever, went out of their way and tried something? So if I see a lot of students, I ask them, do you ever use any online site? Even YouTube these days has a lot of content for easily training and learning and everything like that. So it's a show of two things. One is the ability to use technology, and other one is the initiative to learn new technologies. So from those two aspects, we try to promote e-learning, and I think in the course of the discussion, I could share some of the methods how organizations can make good use of e-learning. One of the differences between a structured training and an e-learning with employees is that how do you measure, how do you review the progress of training, how do you actually say that, I think we had a discussion on certifications at some point that will come up. How do you actually evaluate people who are saying, what they did and all those things. So we have, cracked some of those things, and then we have found a successful way of using that. It is very nice just to refer to Swami Vivekananda, and so I was reading today about E.E. Dickinson. Somebody sent me the snippet from Autobiography of a Yogi. So when he met Swami Vivekananda in Chicago, he said that I am not your guru will come. So these days gurus are coming via mobile phones and smartphones and all those things. So I don't know if you ever read that, you can look up for Silver Cup. E. Dickinson and Silver Cup is a very famous story in that. So we all need our gurus in spiritual path or in other ways. But thanks to people like Amit, the gurus are now coming in virtual reality. So you just have to put on your Google Glass and you can find your Vivekananda or Yogi Paramahamsa right in front of you. So anyway, look forward to be part of this discussion and going forward. Thank you.
All right, so let's start with this guru part of it. I don't know, when international gurus come, when the local gurus become irrelevant. So how do you perceive, the trainers, people like us, for example. I'm a professor, so I make my living out of teaching. And there are so many trainers here. Huh?
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile this?
Yeah. See, there's always two parts in it. So technology is something, when we're talking about e-learning, and as a consumption of e-learner, for technology, we can definitely use e-learning. But right now, for the last 6 weeks in my organization, we are running a program called Born to Win leadership kind of thing. And that is delivered by a friend of mine, and he comes from Chennai to deliver that. And he delivers that for 5 hours every day, non-stop, and he talks, and there's no PowerPoints, and it's all purely based on his experiences and everything like that. So it is a soft skill, it's a motivational thing, it is talking about methods of, from your experiences, from others' experiences. I don't think those things can be, technologized. No amount of YouTube video can deliver the energy and the passion that's helpful to bringing transformation in people's lives. Technology is a different thing that we can e-learn. So the trainers are definitely important. The quality of trainers, the ability to motivate others, to transform others is definitely a quality of a trainer.
Yeah, so thanks. You have to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that with the technological advancements that have happened, so to answer your question, how relevant are the local gurus when international gurus can come face to face? I think that entire platform will now be merged as just gurus, one set of gurus, as one consortium of gurus, with whom, and then the choice is not, about which guru is good or bad. The choice is with the learner. That I know. It's like you have the Zomato app. When you want to go to a restaurant, you go to Zomato and say, okay, which guru is good based on the rating. So which restaurant is good? I see that, okay, this restaurant has 4.5, 5.5 or 5 or whatever. And then what are they good at, right? I think technology will bring, seamlessly will bring all those gurus into one platform, and you will have just one set of people whom the entire world can access. So the local gurus will also become international gurus.
That's nice to note. So you would like to add something?
Same. Like there is nothing called international guru or local guru. It's only the exposure. Whether can I reach from here to international level, then I'm an international guru. Maybe someone sitting there, he has not been exposed to an international audience. Through this kind of electronic medium, sitting here at his home, can reach out to students far across the other side, then you are an international guru. So technology could connect. All depends upon how good are you to reach there.
So on the flip side of it, I was just talking to a friend of mine who had been to Wharton for a training about a year back, and I was asking him how's the training. Then if you know Malayalam, his reply was, okay. Which actually means that, no, you know what I mean. Yeah, you understand? No, you didn't. Katti in Malayalam means, terribly boring professor. So his reply was that these boring guys are there everywhere. So the flip side is when you log on, for example, you do a course in Coursera, and a prof here can actually understand that, and he can probably evaluate himself as how good or bad he is. So that way, like you said, it's converging. So it will be one common guru, and internationally, and one pool, for example. So that's a good thing to note. The second point I always had my reservation in this kind of e-learning thing is, how do I ensure that the students or the learners are actually learning? Because when we do this course over the technology platform, we have these random pop-ups which students are supposed to press and ensure that they are listening. But then many times, if when I pose a question and ask them to press the button, hardly 50% of the class is actually on, because the rest of them, I don't know what they do. So how do we solve this issue? Is there any solution there?
So with respect to e-learning and how you can evaluate the learner's performance after the training, there are a lot of technologies right now, or a lot of practices that we follow. For example, and it depends on what kind of content is trying to be taught to them. So is it an application level content? So when you say application level, after the training, are they supposed to apply the training, the information that they've learned into a job? Or is it a knowledge-based training, right? So your assessment and your evaluation will entirely depend on either of those. Now, having said that, what are the practices that we follow to evaluate? Say for application level training, we have something called as simulations, which are guided simulations, unguided simulations. So in an e-learning, you teach the entire content in whatever mode, using a game or whatever. And then at the end, you put them through a simulation, a real life situation that they will experience after the training, right? And then you measure their performance on that. The second interesting trend that is coming out is evaluating through games. Right? So you put the learner through a game, and depending on, and each level has you know that in a game there are different levels, and each level consumes a certain part of the content that has been taught, or evaluates a certain part of the content that has been taught in the class. So if a learner has completed 3 levels or 4 levels, then it means he has understood these topics. But if he fails or is not able to go beyond level 1, then it means that he's probably not understood the concept. Right? So there are various practices that are being followed, and then of course there are the regular evaluation practices, like you have the multiple choice, which kind of thing.
I have a small addition to this. Like in our platform, we have addressed this. There was actually a question asked, why should a student need tuition? Why do you need tuition? The answer, there was lots of research has happened here. The answer, students are exposed to new concepts in the classroom. And in the classroom, they think, oh, I understood the whole thing. Back at home, when they approach the concept once again, that's when doubts, start coming up. And that time, no one is there to clear these doubts. That is when they look forward for tutors. Now, is there a solution to this? One of the studies revealed that if you try flipping the scenario, you will get a better solution. And this is known as flipped classroom. What actually in the flipped classroom they do, they show an education video prior to entering into the classroom. An education video, what exactly you're going to learn. Now, having seen this video, having some idea about the whole concept, you go in the classroom. Classroom will not be a kathy or a boring lecture. It will be more like an interactive session because you already know something about the whole thing, and you discuss more, and that's where you get more clarity about the whole subject. After that, you go for a test. Immediately after you study something, you go for a test, and what exactly the score, immediately if you know where are you standing. So in our case also, we have provided a software solution for all the tutors who register with the site. They can download this application free of cost. During the evenings at home, you can do a recording of a video. You can do the whole recording of the whole topic by topic and upload it there. Students can go through the videos before entering the classroom. Having seen the video, they ask questions in the classroom. So interactive session is more like doubt clearing. Therefore, there is an e-learning, there is a e-test paper. So you do the online examination and you get the answer. So we found suddenly the level of children improve far better.
You are actually right. If I were to add to that, this methodology, pedagogy was developed by Harvard by a professor named Hasan Surur. So it's pre-reading, and then it actually improves drastically the effectiveness of learning.
So in our situation, the evaluation, the training itself happens because of interest from the person's perspective to learn something new. We constantly cross-train and retrain people, and we deploy in different technologies. So based upon what's hot right now. So right now my people are doing AngularJS and React.js and JavaScripts, and so anything that's coming up. So in my case, what happens is that they do the training, and then they're applying that learning the very next day in real projects and things like that. So there is a thing. I don't really bother to measure their amount of learning, in the sense that because the drive to learn comes from them. So in a classroom situation, it could be different because you are put to sit in a class of 50 people, and then, like you said, when you ask them to raise a question or something like that, they're either logged in or not even logged into the computer, so they may do that. But in my situation, the things are different because they have to learn, and they develop the thing, and then we put them into practical situations to learn. From a domestic consumer, my daughter takes Hindi tuition over Skype with somebody in Moatwada or something like that. I think she might be going through Tutormine, I don't know. She could be, or it is not. But I really like the concept of this flip the classroom kind of thing, because that's what's happening in terms of the help that she gets and things like that. And yeah.
I just want to add one more thing. So when it comes to evaluation, I think I mean, we work primarily with corporates like Microsoft and Sutherland. And evaluation is extremely important at that point because they are investing a certain amount of money in getting this content created. And they are investing a certain amount of their employees' time in spending for this training, right? So they need to know for sure that at the end of the training, these employees will perform as expected, or these employees, for example, in a training, they are taught how to, say, use certain tools, and we take them through the training, and we evaluate them. But once they go on the shop floor, once they do the job, they need to perform at the same level that the employer expects. So evaluation is of primary importance. So the first, and it also defines something called ROI. That is, what is their return on investment? So if they are spending about $1 lakh or $100,000, then they want to be sure that they are getting back that $100,000 and much more.
Yeah, so the whole point is, as when it comes to whether the student is listening, in a corporate training setup, it's quite clear that unless and until he has listened and he has followed it, he won't be able to perform. So that evaluation would be one of the best methods. In a typical classroom, it could be different, but then Prof. Ramohan has got a better way, like you said, flipping the classroom and so on. The other issue which I would like to bring to your attention is that generally, if you look at the student learning community today, it could be students or it could be working professionals. Training is though you have a different opinion because you said people are really self-motivated. But my experience is, I really don't know whether my employees or my students or either way, they're really, really eager to learn. You understand? So if they are not self-starters, how do we actually manage that?
I mean, in a technology working environment, I see that in future at least. So maybe, I started in technology back in the 90s, and that was a time where you could just, skim through it with your knowledge of programming and everything like that. But I see a lot of young people out there. I have to tell you that with the advent of technology and the pace at which things are moving, if you're really not a self-starter in terms of adapting to new technologies, we are going to have a really hard time. Especially when I look at the IT services industry, and there's a lot of talk about automation coming and doing all these things. So the things keep changing every 3 months, and Amit can talk about it, right? I mean, because every 3 to 4 months there is a new method, new trend, new platform of delivering things. So and who is doing this? Who is creating this content or VR or whatever it is doing? It is all being done by us. So we really have to do that. And I think the student community also has to get to that level of engagement. And that is something I think, but that's slowly changing, because I think in schools also they are now, people are selecting streams of education that they are more interested in doing, and right?
One demographic shift which is happening in today's student community in India is that, as you can see, maybe 20 years back, only the top 1%, 2% reached the top.
Correct.
Today, I think the top 15, 20% and perhaps even lower reaches.
Yeah.
So the commitment levels also changes. So the technology is it one size fits all, or do we have different gradients? Can we, technologies evolved so that, if you are a slow learner, push him also.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the technology has opened it up so that, you can, like you yourself said, and Somva was also working. 20 years ago, it was either medicine or engineering or something like that people had to go and learn. Even technology wasn't, until the Y2K boom happened in the 90s, we weren't really looking at IT as a big sector in India too, right? I mean, when the Infosys boom happened in the late 80s and the early 90s, until that point.
I have a small point to make here. You said this self-starters, and there is a notion that new generation, they are not self-starters, they are all lethargic or going after YouTube and things like that. Like, there's actually a wrong notion. Actually, I think the fact is the other way around. We think we are wise, the fact is otherwise. Today's children, they're far more advanced. The only issue what I've noticed, you see, my child, she is in 3rd standard, she can pick up the mobile phone and repair it upside down and give it to me back. 90% of the features which I don't know, she knows. And I think many of you must have experienced this thing. These people are fearless. They are ready to explore and anything. We feel in the education that is not shown. Why? Because we still try following that 1947 kind of education here in a blackboard and a white chalk and keep writing, standing and talking and teaching. We expect people to travel all across to our place after spending money and time and hear some talk. What they don't realize is that we have something called TED available on internet, and you have best of the best speakers there, and these people are watching all these things. Today's children, yesterday we had a scenario where we have a kid preparing for JEE and he wants a physics tutor. We managed to get a tutor from Mumbai IIT. He is giving physics tuition. This kid, he says, I want to ask him questions and understand whether is he capable of teaching me. Now it's an interview the other way around. The student is interviewing the tutor to check whether he is capable to teach me, the kind of scenario which is happening with the kind of technological connectivity that is there. Students are self-motivated. They know what they need. The only thing is that please allow them to reach the place or give some facility whereby they can go fetch the kind of quality that they want, and not like whatever we have, you try give it to them and force him to adjust with that. So just open the technology, give it to them. Like these kids, they play around with the mobile phone, they find things of their own.
I just have one addition to that. I think what you made is a very pertinent point. I think the motivation or a student's motivation, it comes naturally if they are attracted to the kind of technology or the kind of content that they are presented. Someone who, and typically like some people I know still prefer the 1947 methods. They still say, no, I want to sit in a classroom, I want to listen to the instructor speak. But yes, that is a very minor population right now. Most of the students right now are saying, okay, what is the fastest way that I can learn this, right? Maybe Coursera is not the fastest way because I need to go register, I need to wait till the course starts and so on. Maybe YouTube is the fastest way. I just go to YouTube, I start learning, right? So some people say, okay, I don't like to watch long videos. I don't want to watch for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I want to watch just 2-minute videos, right? And you would have seen, I mean, if you're on the social media, you get these 5-minute hacks or, how to make a recipe, right? They just show an entire recipe that takes like 20, 30, 40 minutes to cook in just 2 minutes, right? Many people are attracted to that because it's fast, they don't have to spend too much time, and it's easily accessible. That also addresses, Professor, your second point, in terms of how can you make sure that one size doesn't fit all, right? And that is where there is a new learning trend that is evolving, which is called adaptive learning. And it is not yet there. What adaptive learning defines is each person or each learner is different. Like it's typical, in a classroom, if you have 40 students or 30 students, not everyone are at the same level. Some of them already know certain concepts. Some of them don't know those concepts. So adaptive learning talks about how you can give only the relevant content that they don't know to that particular learner and not just give the entire content. If there are 10 modules and if a learner knows 3 modules, he will be given only those 7 modules. Right? That is what adaptive learning, and I think that is the future of learning, where they don't have to go through everything, but only specific modules.
That's fine. So let me just look at a different angle now, technology angle. Well, I've often seen that, if I want to take 3-4 learners at the same time, the bandwidth was not permitting. So how do we come across that? I mean, how do we solve that in India, especially?
In fact, this is always a complaint, like bandwidth is not there, bandwidth is a problem, else everything would have been different and world would have been different. Of course, bandwidth plays a big role. Of course, it is improving also, but many places bandwidth is a serious error. In technologically what we did, like in one-to-one learning, we maintained that server kind of mechanism. So one connection goes to the server and each and every student separately handled with threads. So depending upon the bandwidth available on one particular person's computer, it verifies as to what is the bandwidth available there, and accordingly it picks up whether it's a big picture goes or a small picture goes or a medium picture goes, and it adjusts. So technology has all this facility, only thing you do use it. So bandwidth you don't need to complain. If it is 2G, it adjusts. If it is 3G, it adjusts, and for 4G accordingly. So technology, for technology, that is a very simple thing. Only thing one has to spend some time on that from the technology side and find some solutions, which we have done.
all, because, various parts, we have students in, way far down, that forest areas, where bandwidth is very minimal, but yet we manage to, get them the kind of content. So,
But I've seen a huge telecom throw up their arms and said they can't take more than one student at a time. I mean, that's what I've experienced at IMK. So I'm not too sure. I mean, there could be some other technology platform they would be using there.
So what we do, so we get clients and who come specifically with that need, saying that our end users of this learning don't have great bandwidth. You can expect that they will have outdated systems, but we still want to create an e-learning for them, right? And typically this happens in NGOs like World Health Organization. Like World Health Organization has their inroads into the deepest or the most remotest villages, where they still need to go and give a vaccine to the students. For example, polio eradication, right? So how do we ensure that people in that area with low bandwidth still have access to learning? And that is where the current trend of micro-learning comes into picture, where learning is driven through SMSs. Learning is driven through very light content-based packages, which don't need a lot of bandwidth, and even if there is intermittent bandwidth, it downloads in packets. So you download a few number of packets, then if the internet is gone, then it downloads the remaining packets. So at the end of it, it gives the learner a seamless experience at the end of it. But the key there is to how do you design the learning solution, right? How is the content being presented?
Now, I think that's fine. Now, I have another philosophical twist to this. For example, I mean, you may not be the right people because you're technology experts. Will companies take people, engineers, for example, who have not passed those 56 papers? For example, if I am a design company, designing circuits, and somebody comes up and says, look, I've got 3 courses done in circuit design, I'm fine. Are they employable? Number one. Number two, will HR department actually take such people? You have any such experiences?
In my own company, I think the way employers are looking at employees is very different than I think what it was earlier, and I cannot say what it was. But right now, the key thing that we look is for talent, right? Someone was telling that, a degree probably does not matter, right? What matters is, do you have the right skill, one? Do you have the right attitude, right? If you have the right skill and you have the right attitude, we employ them. And it's not just in my company. I've worked in Microsoft, and Microsoft has a similar philosophy where if you have the right skill and the right attitude, then you not having a degree is not a big issue. And I have friends in Microsoft who don't have even a graduation degree, but they're very, very skilled, very, very talented.
That's quite modern, if things are going in that pace, I think maybe 20 years down the line, this university where we're sitting will cease to exist. I agree with that. So that's it, we are on time, so it's about 3:35. Thank you very much, thank you all. Okay.
Thank you so much, it was a great discussion.
3 questions from the audience? Any questions from the audience? All right, so I think we don't have much questions, so we'll do the pleasantries now. May I request the moderator, Professor Biju, to hand over the mementos to the other panelists. E-learning is the future, and we did have a great panel discussion right now. Please hand over to one minute. Professor Biju handing over the memento to Mr. Ram Mohan. Amit has flown down from Hyderabad exclusively for this event. Thank you so much, Amit Vincent. Handing over the memento to Mr. Venkatesh. Thank you once again. And may I now invite Mr. S.R. Nair to please come on stage and hand over the memento to Professor Biju, please. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, the time is 3:40. Next 5 minutes, we have a very quick trainer talk session by Mr. Abdul Razak. Where is Mr. Abdul? Okay, the trainer Abdul Razak, he has come all over the way from Calicut, and he requested, he was supposed to present yesterday, but he could not, so today he is there, and you have been granted 4 minutes.
4.
Yes.
Good evening, all of you. May I shift into Malayalam? I'm sorry, non-Keralites friends. Okay. Okay, ഒന്ന് എഴുന്നേറ്റ് നിൽക്കാവോ പ്ലീസ്? 240 സെക്കൻഡ് ഉണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, ഒന്ന് സ്ട്രെച്ച് ചെയ്യാവോ? കുറേ നേരമല്ലേ നമ്മളിങ്ങനെ. എനിക്ക് നിങ്ങളോട് പറയാൻ തോന്നുന്നില്ല കണ്ടിട്ട്. ഓക്കെ, വെരി ഗുഡ്, ഇരുന്നുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ ഓക്കെ, ലൈഫ് നമുക്കൊന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ, അത് വളരെ കുറച്ചേ ഉള്ളൂ, അതാണ് പ്രശ്നം. 80 വയസ്സ് വരെ നാം ജീവിക്കുമ്പോൾ എത്ര കൊല്ലം നമ്മൾ ഉറങ്ങും? 30. നമുക്ക് പറയാം 30 വർഷം നമ്മൾ ഉറങ്ങും, ബാക്കി 50 ഉള്ളൂ. പിന്നെ ഒരു ദിവസം 1 മണിക്കൂർ നമുക്ക് ലോസ് ആയാൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കിട്ടിയാൽ എത്ര കിട്ടും, എത്ര പോവും? 80-ൽ 1 മണിക്കൂറാണെങ്കിൽ 3 വർഷം പോവും. 3 വർഷം കിട്ടാം, 3 വർഷം പോകാം, ഇതാണ് ലൈഫ്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ട് ഒത്തിരി കാര്യങ്ങൾ പരീക്ഷിച്ചിട്ട് ജീവിതം മൊത്തം നഷ്ടപ്പെടുത്താൻ നമുക്ക് സമയമില്ല. അതുകൊണ്ട് ലോകത്തുള്ള 4 വിഭാഗം ആളുകളെ പറയും ബാഡ് ജോബ് ആൻഡ് ബാഡ് ലൈഫ് 0%, ഗുഡ് ജോബ് ഓർ ഗുഡ് ലൈഫ് 40%, മാർക്കിൽ പറയാം. സുപ്പീരിയർ ജോബ് ഓർ സുപ്പീരിയർ ലൈഫ് 60, ഫസ്റ്റ് ക്ലാസ്. ദെൻ യുണീക്ക് എബിലിറ്റി ഓർ ഡിസ്റ്റിങ് ഫോർട്ടെ ഓർ പാഷനേറ്റ് ഓർ ആത്മദാഹം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഉൾവിളി, നമ്മുടെ തീപ്പൊരി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അഭിനിവേശം, ഇതിൽ വരുന്നവർക്ക് 100/100. അപ്പോൾ എവിടേക്ക് പോകണം? നമ്മൾ എവിടെയാണ്? ഒന്ന് കൈവെക്കൂ. 1-ലാണോ, 2-ലാണോ, 3-ലാണോ, 4-ലാണോ? ആരൊക്കെയാണ് 4-ലുള്ളത്? തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഞാൻ 4 എന്ന് പറയാം. യെസ്, SR നായർ എന്തായിരുന്നാലും 4-ന് അപ്പുറമായിരിക്കും എന്ന് എനിക്കറിയാം. ആ എനർജി കേട്ടല്ലേ? 4, ആ എനർജി ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. 4-ൽ വന്നവരെ ഐ നോക്കിയാൽ കാണാം, ഫേസ് നോക്കിയാൽ കാണാം, ബോഡി നോക്കിയാൽ കാണാം, മുടിനാരയെ കാണാം, കോശങ്ങളിൽ കാണാം, സെല്ലിൽ കാണാം, അടിമുടി അവരുടെ ചടുലത വ്യത്യാസം ഉണ്ടാകും. രാവിലെ എഴുന്നേൽക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒരുപോലെ തന്നെ, കിടക്കാൻ പോകുമ്പോൾ ഒരുപോലെ തന്നെ. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള എത്ര പേരുണ്ട് ഇതിൽ? രാവിലെ എഴുന്നേൽക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒരുപോലെ, കിടക്കാൻ പോകുമ്പോൾ ഒരുപോലെ. ആരുണ്ട്? പ്ലീസ് ആൻസർ. അതെ, ഇതാണ് ലക്ഷണം. മനസ്സിലായല്ലോ? അപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ കാര്യം നമുക്ക് തന്നെ അളക്കാനേ ഉള്ളൂ. പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, ഇത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ ലൈഫ് കുറച്ചേ ഉള്ളൂ, അത് ഒന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ. പരീക്ഷണം നടത്താൻ നമുക്ക് സമയമേ ഇല്ല. എൻ്റെ സമയം കഴിഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് എങ്ങോട്ട് പോകാം? ഏറ്റവും വലിയ എനർജി നമുക്കറിയാം, ഖരം, ദ്രാവകം, വാതകം, പ്ലാസ്മ, ബീം, BEC, ബോസ് ഐൻസ്റ്റീൻ കണ്ടൻസേറ്റ്, 6th ലെവൽ. എന്താണ്? ഒരു വലിയ ബുർജ് ഖലീഫയെ അടിച്ചൊതുക്കി തീപ്പെട്ടിക്കൂട്ടിലേക്ക് ആക്കാനുള്ള സാങ്കേതിക വിദ്യ. ഇതിനും മേലെയാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഉള്ള തോട്ട്സ്, ഹ്യൂമൻ തോട്ട്. ആ തോട്ടിൽ നിന്നാണ് ബുർജ് ഖലീഫ വന്നത്. ഈ ബിൽഡിംഗ് വന്നത് ഏതാണ്? ഒരു മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ തോട്ടിൽ നിന്നാണ്. ഇത് 36,000-നും 61,000-നും ഇടയ്ക്ക് കയറി ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോകുന്ന ഒരു യന്ത്രമാണ് മനുഷ്യൻ. ഇത് മാത്രമാണ് മറ്റുള്ള മൃഗങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് മനുഷ്യനുള്ള ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത. ഈ തോട്ട്സ് കയറി ഇറങ്ങുന്നു. ഇതിലെ എത്ര തോട്ട്സ്? ഒരു ദിവസത്തെ 36,000 to 61,000 തോട്ട്സിൽ എത്ര തോട്ട്സിനെ നമുക്ക് ഈ 100/100 എന്ന് പറയുന്ന SR നായർ പറഞ്ഞ ഈ 4ാമത്തെ ഇനത്തിലേക്ക് നമുക്ക് ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നു? ഡിയർ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ്, ഇവിടെയാണ് വ്യത്യാസം. ഇത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഓക്കെ, നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞതൊക്കെ വളരെ സ്മൂത്താണ്. പിന്നെ ഒരു വെറീസ് ഇല്ല, പ്രശ്നമില്ല, ബാഡിലില്ല, അതിനില്ല, 100/100. ഇതിന് നമുക്കെന്താ എല്ലാം കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഡിഫക്റ്റ് ഇല്ലാത്ത പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ നടത്തി പാക്ക് ചെയ്ത് ഭൂമിയിലേക്ക് അയച്ച ഒരേ ഒരു മാനുഫാക്ചറിങ് കമ്പനിയെ ലോകത്തുള്ളൂ. അത് കർത്താവെന്ന് വിളിച്ചാലും, യേശു എന്ന് വിളിച്ചാലും, അള്ളാഹ് എന്ന് വിളിച്ചാലും, ബ്രഹ്മാവെന്ന് വിളിച്ചാലും, നിങ്ങൾ ഏത് പേരിട്ടോ പേരില്ലാതെ വിളിച്ചാലും, യൂണിവേഴ്സൽ പവർ എന്ന് വിളിച്ചാലും, ദിസ് ഇസ് വൺ. ഡിഫക്റ്റ് ഇല്ലാത്ത പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ നടത്താൻ കേൾപ്പുള്ള ഒരേ ഒരു കമ്പനിയെ ലോകത്തുള്ളൂ. അങ്ങനെ വന്നവരാണ് നമ്മൾ. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നിക്കിനെ കാണുമ്പോൾ നമുക്കിന്ന് കുറേ പ്രതിഭകൾ വന്നില്ലേ? കണ്ണിന്ന് കണ്ണീര് വന്നു. 2 തവണ എനിക്ക് കണ്ണീര് വന്നു. 2 തവണ. ഇന്നത്തെ സെഷൻ രാവിലെ തന്നെ SR നായരുടെ ആ ഒരു ലീഡർഷിപ്പിൽ തുടങ്ങിയ അതിസമ്പന്നം, മലയാളത്തെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ മീനിങ് ഫുൾ അല്ലേ ഇതുവരെ. അപ്പം എന്താ ആ 2 എമോഷൻ ആൻഡ് ഫീലിംഗ് നമുക്ക് വന്നു. നമ്മളൊക്കെ എന്ത് ചെയ്തു? നമ്മളെ ഒന്ന് നോക്കുക കണ്ണാടിക്ക്. ഇവിടെ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, മാഡം പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, കണ്ണാടി നോക്കുമ്പോൾ സുന്ദരമായ ഒരു ബ്യൂട്ടിഫുൾ ഷേഡോ റിഫ്ലക്ഷൻ നമുക്ക് രാവിലെ കാണാൻ പറ്റും. ആരുടെ? നമ്മുടെ കണ്ണ്, നമ്മുടെ മുടി, നമ്മുടെ സൗന്ദര്യം, നമ്മുടെ എനർജി, നമ്മുടെ ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ്, നമ്മുടെ കപ്പാസിറ്റി, നമ്മുടെ ഉള്ളിലെ ഓരോ കോശങ്ങളിൽ സെല്ലുകളിൽ നിറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്ന ഏറ്റവും പവർഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള എനർജി, നമുക്ക് ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള മോസ്റ്റ് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെൻറ്റ്സ് ടൈം ആൻഡ് എനർജി. ആയുസ്സും ആരോഗ്യവും. മലയാളം പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആയുസ്സും ആരോഗ്യവും. ഇത് രണ്ടും കളഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾ പെണ്ണിനും പൊന്നിനും കല്ലിനും മണ്ണിനും സ്വർണത്തിനും ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കിയാൽ ഒരു പ്രധാനമന്ത്രിയുടെ ഒരു പ്രഖ്യാപനത്തിൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ ആയിരക്കണക്കിന് രൂപ തുണ്ടം പേപ്പറായി മാറും. യെസ്റ്റർഡേസ് ടൈം ആൻഡ് എനർജിയാണ് ഇന്നത്തെ നോട്ടും കറൻസിയും. അത് നശിപ്പിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് എവിടെ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണം? ഫോക്കസ്, ഫോക്കസ്, ഫോളോ വൺ കോഴ്സ് അണ്ടിൽ സക്സസ്ഫുൾ. എവിടെ? പവർഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആ യുണീക്ക് എബിലിറ്റി എന്ന് പറയുന്ന, ഡിസ്റ്റിങ് ഫോർട്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന നമ്മുടെ ആത്മദാഹം, നമ്മുടെ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ വരുമ്പം തന്നെ ഇയാളെ ഇരുത്തിയ സിംഹാസനം, ലോകത്തിൻ്റെ ചക്രവർത്തി പദത്തിൽ നമ്മെ ഒരു സിംഹാസനത്തിൽ ഇരുത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ ഒരുവൻ. മറ്റാർക്കും പറ്റാത്തത് അതാണല്ലോ തമ്പ് ഇംപ്രഷൻ. ഐഡന്റിറ്റിക്കൽ ട്വിൻസിന് പോലും ഒരേപോലെ തമ്പ് ഇംപ്രഷൻ ഇല്ല. ഇതിലുള്ള ഡെൽറ്റാസും ലൂപ്സും വേർഡ്സും പിന്നെ വരകളും കുറികളും ഒക്കെ ഒരു വലിയ രഹസ്യം പേറുന്നുണ്ട്. ഈ പേറിയിരിക്കുന്ന ബ്രെയിനിലെ നമ്മുടെ കപ്പാസിറ്റിയെ ഇംപ്രസ് ചെയ്താൽ നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി കാണാൻ പറ്റും. ഇതുപോലെ ഒരെണ്ണം ഒരു പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ഇനി വരാനില്ല, ഇതുവരെ വന്നിട്ടില്ല. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മെ ഏൽപ്പിക്കപ്പെട്ട ആ ദൗത്യം, മൈ പേഴ്സണൽ മിഷൻ ഇവിടെ കൊടുത്തു പോവുക. ലോകം കാതോർത്തിരുന്ന, ഒരുപാട് കാലമായി കാത്തിരുന്ന നമ്മിൽ നിന്ന് കിട്ടേണ്ട ആ എനർജിയെ, നമ്മിൽ നിന്ന് കിട്ടേണ്ട ആ റെവല്യൂഷണറി മിഷനെ വിഷനോടുകൂടി, കണ്ണോടുകൂടി, ഉൾക്കണ്ണോടുകൂടി ഇവിടെ കൊടുത്തു പോവുക എന്നുള്ളതാണെങ്കിൽ മടുപ്പില്ലല്ലോ. പിന്നെ പണി ചെയ്യണ്ടല്ലോ. ഹാർഡ് വർക്ക് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് തന്നെ തെറ്റല്ലേ? ഹാർഡ് വർക്ക് നെഗറ്റീവ് മീനിങ് ആണത്. സ്മാർട്ട് ആൻഡ് ഷാർപ്പ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്താൽ ഈ 100/100, 100/100 4th ലെവലിൽ വന്നാൽ മടുപ്പില്ല. ഹാർഡ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യേണ്ട നിങ്ങൾ. സ്മാർട്ട് ആൻഡ് ഷാർപ്പ് വർക്ക് ഓൺലി. ഹാർഡ് വർക്കിംഗ് ഫോർ മണി, ഹാർഡ് വർക്കിംഗ് ഫോർ മണി. ഒരൊറ്റ മിനിറ്റോടെ എടുക്കൂ. ഹാർഡ് വർക്കിംഗ് ഫോർ മണി, സ്മാർട്ട് ആൻഡ് ഷാർപ്പ് വർക്കിംഗ് ഫോർ പീസ്ഫുൾനെസ്, സാറ്റിസ്ഫാക്ഷൻ, സക്സസ് ആൻഡ് അതിനു മേലെ, അതുക്കും മേലെ. ഇതാണ് ലൈഫ്. കഴിഞ്ഞുല്ലേ? കഴിഞ്ഞുല്ലേ? അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ പറയും, ട്യൂൺ, നിങ്ങൾ മനസ്സൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് ട്യൂൺ ചെയ്ത് ഇതിലേക്ക് വന്നാൽ ഹിയർ യുവർ ഓൺ സോങ്. നമ്മുടെ പാട്ട് നമുക്കും കേൾക്കാം, ലോകം കാത്തുവത്തിരുന്ന അവർക്കും കേൾപ്പിക്കാം. ഓക്കെ, ഓൾ ദ ബെസ്റ്റ്, ഓൾ ദ ബെസ്റ്റ്.
Thank you, Abdul Razak. He is a happiness coach. I mean, he runs Happy Life Coach Consulting. So excellent. So we are somewhat on schedule. We will be right now taking a quick tea break, after which we will be assembling back for the valedictory ceremony. I would request all to stay back for the valedictory ceremony, and all of you will be getting a certificate of participation, all the delegates as well as the students. You can collect the same after the valedictory ceremony from the registration desk. And also a feedback form has been circulated. Please hand it over back either to the volunteers or to the registration desk. Let's have a quick tea break, 10 minutes break, and be right back for the valedictory.
The time has come to draw a curtain to our program as we come to the close of it. A very good evening and a warm welcome to all of you to this valedictory session of the National Trainer Summit 2K17, jointly organized by Indian Society for Training and Development, Jan Shikshan Sansthan, and T4Trainer.com. I now take this opportunity to invite and welcome the dignitaries to the dais. Please. I invite Mr. Shamsuddin sir to please come over to the dais. Okay, we have with us Ms. Nirmala Lilly, Secretary of Indian Society for Training and Development, for the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Most distinguished dignitaries on the dais, past presidents, students, I think most of them are missing now. I'm not saying ladies and gentlemen, friends, a warm good evening and a warm welcome to all of you for this valedictory session. Now we have reached at the fag end of the session. Hope all of you enjoyed, yes or no? I heard a lot of feedback like it was spellbound, it's awesome, it's wonderful, great, thought-provoking, emotional, a lot of things. Do you agree with me? It is all about transformation through trainings. A lot of lessons that we have learned these 2 days. And some of them, if I say that, be a perpetual student, that is one lesson. And then believe that you are capable of more than you. We have seen their activities also. Then as a trainer, absorb what is useful and discard what is not, and add uniquely your own. That is what you can take it. And there is a voice that does not use words but listen. So listening skill. You need a lot of courage to stand up and speak, and you need a lot of courage to sit down and listen. God has given us one mouth and 2 ears, because He knows that talking is twice as hard as listening. Sometime back, Mr. Razak also mentioned how many thoughts will be coming to your mind, right? And there is a story about of Buddha. He just compared this listening skill with a clay pot. It's a clay vessel, compared with 4 kinds of vessel. One vessel has got a hole at the bottom. So what will happen if you pour water, anything into it, the entire water will go away. So some listeners are like that. You will only see them, but nothing will go inside. And another kind of pot is where it has got crack in it. So what happens is, it will just stay for some time, and slowly the entire water will ooze out. Similarly, whatever you have listened also will go away. And another kind of pot is completely full, that you cannot fill in anything at all. So some people think, I know them all. What are you talking about? And another pot is there. It is completely empty. That's a pot that all of us must have, so that you can fill it. So learn, unlearn, and relearn. This is what a trainer, all of us, should adopt. With this little thought, let me just let me just welcome, that is my role today, all these distinguished dignitaries sitting on the dais. First of all, my own boss, Chairman of ISTD, Mr. George B. Philip. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the function. We have our chief guest, Dr. L. Radhakrishnan, IAS. He is the Chairman and CEO of Kerala State Innovation Council. Hearty welcome to you, sir. We have a very special guest. We had the Vice Chancellor herself in the inaugural session. We are privileged to have Dr. Paulus Jacob, Pro Vice Chancellor of CUSAT, for valedictorian. Welcome, sir. We have Mr. Shamsuddin BA, Joint Director of SITA, State Institute of Technology, Teachers, Training and Research, Kalamasheri. A hearty welcome to you, sir. We have seen Mr. Satish from the beginning. Mr. Satish is the Director of JSS. Welcome to you, sir. We have a lady with a fire, full of fire, enthusiasm, vibes, whatever you say. And the 2 presentations you had seen, that is the brainchild of this particular person. If there is no speaker, if there is no MC, doesn't matter. Women are known as multitasking. This is, I don't know what she is. She is ready to do anything. This is our Chief of Trainer, CEO, Madam Chandravadana. And I would like to show you the team of Chandravadana. We all say about the new gen. Can I see the team? Srijit? Can you please come? Srijit, Shaimi, Grishma, Sandra, Anjali, Fatima. So all these small kids, I think all of them are deserving a thunderous round of applause. It is because of them that this program was successful. They've been working for this for the past 3 months. Thank you so much. And I welcome each and every one of them as well. And the media that supported us, you have seen that writers and photographs are coming to daily, many times. And media really supported us. Many thanks, and I welcome them to this function. Give them, please. and our sponsors. It's all there. Amity, you have seen the professor sometime back. Bharat Petroleum, Cochin Shipyard, Muthoot Finance, Georgit, V-Guard, Dhanam, Chayakada, Club FM, Uber, Infinite, it's me, and Comet, and Sita. So I once again welcome each and every one of you and all these people once again, and please just continue listening to them, and have a wonderful evening. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirmala ma'am. And now we have Ms. Chandravadana R, CEO, T4Trainer.com, with the conference summary. Ma'am, please.
So I'll take 6 minutes to quickly run through what all happened in the past 2 days. Before I go into that, of course, as you would all know, conference of this scale requires a lot of preparation, and we did have a lot of fun preparing for the conference. So Shaimi, can you show the pictures of the conference preparation as well as the events? So the event, first of all, there's one thing which I would like to highlight upon is, number one, this is probably the first time 3 different entities, one a public entity, which is a government body, which is Jan Shikshan Sanstha under the MHRD Trivandrum, University of Kerala. That is a government body, and then comes an NGO, a society, which is Indian Society for Training and Development, and the third entity, which is a private entity, which is my company, T4Trainer.com. So all these 3 entities doing different kinds of training programs in different ways and different scales, I would say. So all 3 joined together, and this is what the power of collaboration. I would say, rather than doing things independently, when you actually collaborate with the entities in the right manner, things of wonder can happen. And that is what this conference is all about, National Trainers Summit 2K17, which has happened in Kochi. I shall run through the events, the highlights of the event. We started off yesterday with an inaugural function wherein we were originally supposed to get our education minister. However, he could not come due to certain certain work-related issues. So instead, he sent us a message that was read out, and yes, the program was inaugurated by Dr. J. Lada, the Vice Chancellor of Cochin University, and where she cited the importance of education and also shared some of her experiences as the principal of School of Engineering and how education should actually mold a student totally and not just impart some knowledge. After which, we did have a thunderous, I would say, a wonderful session by our special guest, Ms. Diana Dentinga. She has just left from the place for another appointment. So Diana, she is the founder of Meaning of Life School, Italy, and she actually made us all think, and she told us about how we need to live in this nanoseconds era and the way one had lived in 1987 and the perception of life that we have now, based on the word now. So that was the inaugural session, post which we did have the keynote address, a very celebrated speaker from UK. We are actually very, very happy, and I should say we should be so thankful for her to accept our invitation and come over to Kochi. And that is none other than Ms. Smita Tharoor. She's a sister of Shashi Tharoor, and I hope you would have easily recognized her with her voice itself. She, with her eminent personality, simplicity, and her words of wisdom, I should say she took the audience into her magic. And she actually started talking about her childhood days and how parents should guide children about and how to eliminate the unconscious bias we all have towards people. And then after her keynote, we had a very, very, very vibrant panel discussion on employability. Again, I should say that the employability panel discussion was supposed to be moderated by Professor Anandakuttan from IIM Kozhikode, as well as another panelist. However, due to certain last-minute contingencies, Professor Anandakuttan is in US, so suddenly he had to cancel his flight and the things. So, and on last minute, we arranged 2 other panelists, and I would say they actually did brilliant justice to their roles, and we did had a very, very fiery panel discussion on employability yesterday. After which, the post-noon session. Yes, the post-noon session marked the beginning of two of the contests which we had during this conference. One is the trainer talk contest, wherein we had 16 trainer talk contestants on stage performing for 4 minutes. I know it's very, very tough for a trainer to actually present for 4 minutes. However, I would say you all did a brilliant job by making that 4 minutes presentation. And yes, we also had a very good jury who guided them, including Diana, as well as Mr. Shamim Rafiq, as well as Mr. Vipin Roldan, who was the jury member for that contest. They also guided the participants end of the program. And yes, we also had, after which, I mean, during this trainer talk itself, we had 3 other very important sessions, speakers, invited speakers. One, a young bureaucrat who was striving in his own way to change the employability of villagers, Mr. Vishnu V. Nair. He is a Kochiite. He is currently the sub-collector of Tirunelveli, and he actually shared his knowledge on different areas like bureaucracy, democracy, and how efficient bureaucracy as well as democracy can be. He also gave us the lives of certain community in Tirunelveli called the Narikuravas. So that was a very, very different kind of a story we could hear from a very young guy. And then came Miss Malati Menon. Now, what should I say about this madam? Should I say something, or what do you want? I mean, how did you feel about Mrs. Malati Menon? That's what. So she says she's only 18-year-old. She's an 81-year-old, inspiring and motivating personality. She runs a school for teaching Tiruvadira, and of course, she also played the edekya. She plays a lot of instruments, and that was really a brilliant, inspiring story. We also had a yoga trainer, Miss Lizzie Abraham. She actually gave us the different kinds of she told us about the different kinds of schools of yoga, and that was again a very insightful speech. Yes, so that marked the day 1, and now here we are in day 2. Quickly running ahead, today's first session we had a panel discussion on corporate L&D, learning and development, led by Mr. S.R. Nair, and the panelists were Dr. K.K. Jain. We had Mr. Dinesh Thampi from TCS, we had Mr. Anil Kumar from Action Ridge, and we had Mr. Binod Krishna from Cognizant. So all of them took through the entire corporate L&D and how it functions, and I mean the pros and cons of that. And then, yes, today's afternoon session, I mean today's pre-noon session was yet another inspiring as well as patriotic session by the Navy, the Captain Puneet from Naval Academy, as well as his 2 cadets. They have actually come from Erimala. They explained to us how Navy trains the cadets to actually become the officers for tomorrow. So that was a brilliant session. In fact, though we exceeded time, due to popular demand of the audience, we had to actually extend the time, and they were very much appreciated. And then came today another, even though we were in the lunch break mood, people were ready, people were all seated, hooked onto their chairs, listening to 3 inspiring speakers, 3 inspiring stories. One is that of Mex Vijay Raja Mallika. And today, I think all of us have learned something new from her and how to treat everyone equally. And then, of course, our Dr. Rashmi Pramod, who is a blind doctor currently running a school for autistic students. We also had Miss Shija. She is a paraplegic person, however, running a very, very institution for professional cost accountant training. So that marked the pre-noon sessions, and then post-lunch, we started off with an activity by our Dr. Sunil Gupta, and then we came on to a keynote address by a very beautiful and multi-talented Dr. Som Singh from Bangalore. And again, she told us about various things, including how to transform India through digital education. And after which, we had a detailed panel discussion on e-learning, the future of training. We just concluded that, and currently we are at the valedictory ceremony for this 2-day conference. So just to conclude, this 2-day conference, of course, I don't know if we call it an academic conference per se. that is the whole concept has been to trying to bring together different types of trainers, different types of training people, trying to bring together different kinds of training people in the training ecosystem, and getting inspiration as well as sharing the inspiration. That has been the total positive motivation behind the setting up of this conference. And yes, as being one of the organizers of this particular conference, just one sentence about my T4trainer.com. T4trainer.com is a platform for trainers as well as speakers to create a profile online, as well as any client who wants to hire a trainer. Verified, certified trainers are available there. And all the trainers who are registered there, as well as who wish to enter into training profession, are requested to do that. And secondly, we are also coming up with a certification model for the trainers to ensure quality. So with that, I think I'll conclude my summary. I believe that all of you had a great 2 days of learning and sharing and networking. And yes, thank Almighty once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra ma'am. I invite Mr. George Philip, Chairman, ISTD Kochi Chapter, for the presidential address. Sir, please.
Today's chief guest of this voluntary session of National Trainers Summit, Dr. L. Radhakrishnan, IAS, CEO of Kerala State Innovation Council. Guest of honor, Dr. Paulos Jacob, Pro Vice Chancellor of Cochin University of Science and Technology. Other dignitaries, Mr. Shamsuddin, Director of SITER. Other dignitaries on the dais. Office bearers of ISTD, past chairman, only chairman is there, chairman, Mr. Sar Nair. Other guests, invitees, trainees and students, and my dear friends. I would like to answer Nirmala's question. How do I feel the whole 2 days deliberation? I should tell it is very good. It is with the varieties of speakers. It is, as you know, the speakers right from record breakers of like Maladi Menon to transgender Mallika Vijayaraj. Professional trainers, individuals to corporate training leaders. The demography wise is spread to Kerala, up to Europe, UK, Italy and all. And there are a mix of people. There are many dignitaries fought with their own weaknesses, and they made it to their strength. So it was very touching. Their life experience they exhibited. It is a variety of this thing. And I would like to appreciate their perseverance in fighting with whatever is the fate or their weakness. It was a very good experience for you trainers. Why we should invite all these speakers? We all should know these are the people who is succeeded in the life along with their weaknesses. These all we should experience. We should see these are things happening in this world. After seeing all these 2 days deliberations, on behalf of ISTD, we had taken a policy decision to continue this national summit year after year. Because, as you know, in Kerala there is no single organization which represent trainers and facilitators. It is completely disorganized. We already identified a space for growth of ISTD. Rather, ISTD is a young organization of 8 years old. There is tremendous scope we identified, except of course we got a chapter in Trivandrum. Other than that, there is no common platform for trainers. So this we had to term as a larger platform, and we'll institutionalize this one. And as a policy, I would like to declare this will continue. But one thing I request from you as experienced trainers and speakers, you have been given with a feedback form. Please fill up that form. It is definitely, we need that, because being conducted this function, this type of subject first time, there will be flaws, there is a mistakes, there is corrections needed. So we want to know from you what you feel about to make this subject more fine and finer. So that you please give, whatever is there, you give very correct rating, so that we can make corrections next year. And we also wish, we should like to structure the whole thing little more better way, so that more presentations and more representation from the trainers should happen year after year. My job is not over unless I endorse some of the people's effort behind this submit, because we started this about 3 months back. We have linkages, we made linkages with T4trainers.com and JSS, Jen Shishan Sansthan. So 3 partners, and an academic partner we have selected Cochin University, and other sponsors we have already mentioned. Other than that, the Chief Executive Officer of and the startup of this T4 Trainers, Chandra, has made lot of efforts that I have to endorse here, because she has taken the lead of inviting people, making the structure and organizing. I would like to congratulate Chandra for this special effort. Another gentleman I would like to endorse, Mr. S.R. Nair. Even though he is our past chairman, he has put in a lot of effort of inviting speakers and making. So a special thanks to S.R. And there are some youngsters who got opportunity. I like that. They got an opportunity to organize such a big event like it's all Chandra's assistants. Srijit, where is Srijit? He is here. He is supposed to give the what of the Srijit. Girishma is the MC. Sandra, Shaimi, Anchali. These are the people who wanted a special endorsement. Of course, my secretary, honorary secretary Nirmala, unless I endorse, yes, you also made a lot of things. So I would like to congratulate these people, and we all worked as a team. That is why you enjoyed the 2 days. So I would like to thank everybody to come over here. I would like to thank the speakers coming over here for this giving this voluntary address. So thank you, best wishes. We will see in the next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. We have here Dr. L. Radhakrishnan IAS as our chief guest. He is the chairman of Kerala State Innovation Council and has worked as a principal advisor to the Chief Minister of Kerala on non-political matters, a think tank when it comes to executive leadership and program execution. Lakshman was the chairman and CEO of Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, India's largest container port, and holds advanced degrees from ENA, Paris, and MBA from IIM Bangalore. I now invite Dr. L. Radhakrishnan IAS for the chief guest address. Sir, please.
Respected persons on the dais, participants of the National Trainers Summit 2017, friends, good afternoon. Let me at the outset congratulate T4 Trainer, ISTD, Jan Shiksha Sansthan, Cochin University, and all those who have put together this successful National Trainers Summit, which I understand has been very well taken by the participants. And from my point of view, I'm not a trainer, I'm just an administrator. I've been CEO of companies for over 24 years, a CEO of public enterprises, various positions in the government. So my outlook on training is basically from practical experience, from my experience in communication and so on. So some of you who are expert trainers may find this rather basic, and I'd request you to put up with it. And I was also a little bit misinformed about the composition of the audience. I didn't expect senior people who trainers to be present here. I thought it would be mostly MBA students and the student community, because it's taking place in the university and so on. So kindly bear with me. let's place this whole summit in the right perspective. The training sector is a transformational one in these times, particularly because India is in the process of training and skilling its massive workforce. Effectiveness and relevance of training and development is crucial for both organizations and the government, as it is the critical catalyst for sustainable economic and societal transformation. The relevance is very, very important because many of the courses which are done by even elite institutions, you find that they are not really effective in contributing towards success on the job. You know, I'm reminded of a survey done by Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, where when I was studying. They did a study on the current position of the former students, the alumni, and the grades they had got during the course. And you know what happened? There was a negative correlation. That means people who have done pretty badly in the course for the IIM, they did extremely well, and vice versa. So this should help you think about the dynamic role of training and how it should be very relevant to the needs of not just today, but the needs of tomorrow and for several years to come. You take the instance of the school students, you know, they are going to be around for the next 75 or 80 years, you know, with the longevity of life increasing at the rate it is. So are we preparing them for that kind of a life, or are we looking back another 30 or 40 years when we were children and trying to train the same way is what we have to look at. Because our future, our nation's future will develop and development would depend solely on the effectiveness of how we can use new knowledge and skills, and this is possible only through training. And the investment in this training is also very, very important. Why do we invest in training? You have to improve the skill of the workforce and improve organizational performance, improve things like health, safety in organizations, and so on. And training is an investment for competitiveness also, global competitiveness, and future organizational as well as national growth. The government's and management's commitment to training improves morale and boosts productivity because the costs are very reasonable and the benefits are high for both employer and for the employee. I know some training is expensive. In those cases, to mitigate the cost, the risk of attrition of employees after training, you could have a policy to recover costs, you know, as many organizations do, a bond and so on. Assessing training requirements is a very, very important thing to find out what exactly is the intervention you require. We must systematically assess training needs as people are often unclear about the purpose, types, and ultimate goals of training. Do skills audit and job analysis survey to discover what skills are required, to understand current skills and knowledge vis-a-vis the required ones. Interact with employees because they know the areas they need to improve in. And their involvement in planning, training, and feedback are therefore very, very important. If morale and motivation are low, training can even bring attitudinal change, as many of the speakers in the last 2 days have been able to demonstrate through various cases and so on. And one has to study the workplace problems. What are the actual problems? Where are you not delivering or not delivering efficiently? And study those cases and even do psychometric assessments, in my opinion. After audit, study, and assessment, a training plan has to be made with the employer and discussing with the HR team. And to finalize the best training, best types of training interventions, the time frame, the resources, the budget, and so on. And choose the appropriate types of training. It can be instructor-led training, it can be hands-on training, especially in the case of skills development, interactive training, group discussions and group activities, computer-based training, which is getting more and more common now, e-learning or online training, all to fulfill the particular objective. You can have a mix of various types of training I mentioned. And the trainer has to introduce the program with the purpose and benefits to the trainees. Because the individual and group productivity is going to rise, but unless the trainees know about it, they will not be motivated. Efficiency will increase. And you have to encourage them in the training to use the new knowledge, skills at work, and more importantly, in life itself. The session can be made interesting by stories and so on. I find various interventions have been made to show how interesting the training program can be. What exactly is training? It is just teaching new knowledge, skills, attitudes, very important, methods and procedures. You know, in the case of new systems being introduced on the shop floor, for example. So you have a whole gamut of things you want to change during training, you know. And the effectiveness has to be measured. And very few people are born trainers. Trainers require training, just like anybody else. And training effectiveness is most dependent on the trainer himself and the planning which has gone before the training. A successful trainer motivates, develops even the weakest, and has a relationship of trust with his trainees. An inefficient trainer causes trainees inattention, boredom, indiscipline, and absenteeism. I hope that I'm not responsible for the huge absenteeism which is happening right now. Probably it's because of the end of the course, you know. I don't take it personally. Anyway, I'm a little worried by that. And you have to develop short, engaging sessions to avoid this kind of too much of information overload or any of this lack of attention from happening. For that, most important thing is to communicate effectively in oral terms, in written terms, as well as in body language. You know, it's very important to sound very enthusiastic and very sincere to the person you are training. If you just talk in a monotone, he's not going to be interested. He thinks that you are just doing your job to be paid by the hour or whatever. So only then the trainee will receive and interpret your message correctly. Transmission of information can be ineffective if the voice is too weak or not directed at the receiver without looking at you. Suppose I just look somewhere and talk, there's nobody going to pay any attention to me. So monotonous intonation is also one of the problems. I've seen very good people who are bad communications because they have a monotonous intonation, or you show no enthusiasm in what you are saying, you know. External interference has to be avoided, of course, disturbances and so on. Often the trainees shut off because the message is over his head. So you've got to find out what is the level of knowledge of the person you are training, and or he can be focused on some alternate information, just like you know, somebody looks at the mobile phone. I think I can see one or two people at least looking at their mobile phones. So you know, that is clearly avoiding getting up and going, but at the same time being engrossed in something. This is a huge disturbance which comes in. Or if you're fatigued, you know, that's quite possible. At the end of the day, like now, you're fatigued. You're distracted. You're wondering whether you'll catch your bus or whether you'll be late getting home, whatever. And you know, some people can be saturated with too much information and your mind shuts off everything, you know. Or you're incapable of understanding, you know, what the trainer is trying to tell you is completely over your head. There's no point trying to listen. So he just goes into his own shell. As far as the trainer is concerned, you have to talk very pleasantly, slowly, clearly, and sufficiently loudly with enthusiasm and sincerity, showing proficiency in the subject using simple language. You must pause. Very, very important. Go from simple to complex, particular to concrete, particular to general, concrete to abstract, point by point, logically. You can use lecture outlines like I am using, just a few points here and there, or you can use extensive notes from which you can actually read out. You have to understand the trainee's level, very, very important, and then try to find out what is difficult for him, what kind of demonstrations or illustrations will catch his attention and retain the concept you're trying to convey. What are the new terms? You have to explain it before you start talking, using those terms, and so on. And this will be helped by giving handouts, by using visual aids, using stories, illustrations, case studies of scenarios which are familiar to the trainees. In face-to-face kind of a training, questioning the trainee is very, very important. But it has to be very clear, plus it has to be friendly, not antagonistic. And it can be a general question, a direct question to a particular trainee who you feel is not really absorbing, or it can be a rhetorical question, or it can be a leading question, just to convey your idea and make them understand. But why do you question? You've got to assess the understanding, whether they're keeping attention, or review what you have actually told them earlier. You can use group discussions and questions to involve trainees, to recapitulate, to elicit opinions and feedback, and check if communication is received intact or if there is a misunderstanding. And most important, please summarize after every small section you are talking about. That helps people to recapitulate and remember things better. Assignments also will help the trainees to go back home and then think about what has been said. In skill training, you got to demonstrate yourself many of the things. And you have to explain each step. And then you've got to have the trainee to imitate those steps before you. If it's a new machinery you're trying to make popular, or then you leave him to independently practice at his own pace. And most important, you have to avoid distracting sounds, interferences in the training environment. You've got to avoid ridiculing, interrogating, or being impolite to your questioner. I've seen it in a lot of very senior, conferences where very senior people are attending. The questioner is ridiculed or he's talked to in an impolite way. This should never be done. Becoming unfriendly or too defensive against criticism is one of the problems I've seen in many conferences and so on. You've got to be diplomatic in handling even tough questions. And in conventional training, you have lectures, you have discussions, you have demonstrations, you have exercises, sometimes games, case studies, assignments are given, as I said, group tasks are given, role play is sometimes used, particularly for understanding emotional equations and so on, which are being conveyed. And in hands-on training, which is usually used for skills to be imparted, you have, say, for dealing with new machinery and so on, you have on-the-job training, you have apprenticeship training, you have mock drills sometimes. For safety also you have mock drills. And even job rotation can be a form of training to help people understand what's going on in the other section where you are not really keeping in touch with what's happening because you are just focused on your own job. One of the things Chandra asked me to do, because I am now in the Innovation Council, is to talk something about innovation in training. I'm not very much aware of a lot of innovations, but I put together a few of the stuff particularly relating to IT-related training or use of IT in training, I would say, like e-learning, m-learning, mobile learning, for which I think a lot more of content development is needed. Online training is available, online gaming is available, mobile training is available, and you have offline methods also like e-books which are used to impart training nowadays. And the best is to use a hybrid method of face-to-face training plus a certain amount of innovative training based on IT, which I had mentioned. And the advantages, of course, are obvious: easy accessibility, real-time virtual support is there. Organizational intranet you can access using your mobile phone 24/7. So if you have a doubt about some regulation or you want to check the manual, you can do that immediately. The flexibility of time and place, you can actually study at the workplace, home, or elsewhere, in a restaurant maybe. And cost effectiveness is very high because you avoid travel particularly and work absence of the trainees. And ease of updating of instructions is very much there, because you don't have to reprint material. Digital materials are not reprinted. They are updated quickly at a minimal cost. And communication is global in the sense that the trainer and trainee can be anywhere in the world. And better problem solving and innovation comes because of people interacting from different geographies, from different cultural backgrounds, and so on. And this is a preferred method for young people, I notice. But unfortunately, some of the drawbacks are that you need very high bandwidth, especially for videos. And in rural areas, you find that you don't have this kind of infrastructure. And mobile learning or m-learning, there are a lot of apps available, especially for access to manuals and regulations and so on. I've seen advocates checking on their mobile recent amendments to acts and so on, because mobile has become a small PC now, or probably more powerful than a PC was 10 years ago. So you have lesser cost, infrastructure is generally less, and easy access. Text messaging is also possible using mobiles. You have GPS, which allows location-specific content to come. Many of you travel with the GPS, you know that you can find out where is the nearest restaurant and so on. This can be used for training also. You've got to use innovative methods by which you can adapt this kind of facility which is available technologically for the training arena. Tablets are available because, you know, many of the mobiles, they don't have sufficient battery life, and or the screen is too small and so on. And tablets always have higher computing power, and a lot of supporting applications are there. The bigger screen for graphics or gamification, software is coming day by day. Battery has a longer life. You have a regular keyboard you can type on. So that is being used very much for training. Videos, online videos particularly, because visual learning is far more effective, I find. You can just have a video of a very good master trainer giving a face-to-face training, you know, just record it and put it. You can put it online or put it on a DVD, or you can pass it through the internet to anybody who wants to watch. And you can put it on YouTube or Vimeo if you want to. And language training has become very, very simple, because even now on the internet, a lot of facilities are available where you can actually improve your pronunciation of a foreign language and so on, which was very difficult earlier because the people who taught you the language wouldn't know the real pronunciation anyway. You have webinars and video conferencing, which you know, all of us participate in, and in which several participants have to log on to a website and view a live presentation and communicate. Of course, the disadvantage is that everybody has to do it at the same time. But that's small, you know, if you're committed enough, you can always find the time for that. There are a lot of training e-books available as PDF docs or on PCs or e-readers like Kindle or as Kobo tablets and so on. And social media like Facebook, you know, which has some 1.5 billion users, Twitter's has got, I think, 0.8 billion users. You have YouTube, some 800 million users, Google+. All this can be leveraged for training, just as they are used for advertising and marketing. This is an opportunity for people who want to start training enterprises and those who want to impart training, because a lot of content has to be adapted for this media. And building relationships is also a very important thing in teamwork. And this is something, this is not always possible within the classroom type of situation. You can have the WhatsApp group as a group which will bring you know, all the people together. Earlier, when I was heading the office of the Chief Minister for about 2 to 3 years, we had about 155 staff. It's very difficult for us to interact with each other because we had to see each one of us at least 1,000 people a day. And in those circumstances, you couldn't interact. But the moment you had a WhatsApp group, every day in the morning, you start talking a little bit of business, a little bit of nonsense maybe, but still that brings together a group, and the effectiveness of the group was very much improved. And there are a lot of virtual instructors available. New web conferencing technologies are being invented daily, and virtual assistants are there. They can be live or they can be automated. You may be talking to a robo, but it's just as effective. And use of 3D technology in training is another field. And it can be used both for technical subjects and for soft skills. You know, I've seen cartoons made with this type of 3D technology, which conveys soft skills, you know, and comes up with situations. And these are very low cost in production because you don't have to have an actor actually doing it. And blended learning is the type of blend you have in the traditional face-to-face kind of training or hands-on training, plus using all these innovative methods which I've been talking about. So this hybrid learning or mixed mode learning, as you can call it, can be used to combine online digital media and classroom methods in a judicious manner, increasing the training efficacy, and gets the best of both online learning and in-person instruction regarding content and delivery. And trainees have some control over time, place, or a pace at which they want to learn. This mix of technology and tradition is pedagogically proven as more successful, offering scale also, you know, because one instructor can reach thousands of people and reduces training expenses and replaces pricey textbooks. You know, I remember when I was a student, it was very difficult to buy textbooks because most of the textbooks were American and we couldn't afford them. Now, a lot of this information is available online at a very cheap cost, and the electronic devices to read them are also much cheaper. So use them for instruction, use them for training. And another important thing is, if you want to keep a tab on the person you are training, maybe in the companies, some of the companies where I've been working, we've used that. You can look at the login and work times of each of the people who have training to find out if somebody is actually not spending enough time online to learn the stuff you have asked him to do. So you can blend the new technology with the old in any kind of a form you want. You can be, a little bit of optional online coursework, or it can be scheduled as a mix of independent online study plus classroom time and so on. And the entire training course also can be online with some teacher check-ins possible. So before I conclude, let me talk about one important point, which is planning of the training program. This is what I find lacking in my governmental experience of over 3 decades. What are the kind of training goals you're trying to achieve? This has to be very clear. New skills, techniques, better workplace behavior, safety, etc. I remember when I was the Home Secretary of Kerala, we were trying to change the attitude of the police. Now, this is something which is crucial as far as the perception of the government is concerned from the common man, because most of the people are afraid, especially women are afraid to go to a police station. And it's very difficult to change attitudes, but we did want to try. And somebody came up with training programs. I was asking the question before finalizing them, what is your objective? And even these consultants who came for training could not explain very clearly, because you got to have measurable objectives and find out after the training whether they have been achieved. And this is very important. Otherwise, the money you are spending may be a waste. And this may be objected to by the finance departments of various organizations. And so you got to have a training budget with understanding the infrastructure, resources, training aids, the HR people who are going to help you in that, and have your trainers and have you have to train your trainers in public communication, give them materials they need, use interactive methods and all. Many of the bad organizations where training programs are not used seem to have a short-term focus. They have a resistance to change, lack of value for learning, poor strategic planning and leadership, many of which are there in the public sector enterprises, which I've been also heading and I've been seeing around me. But they do exist in the private sector too. And the crucial part of the finding out the effectiveness of training and improving it is evaluation. The evaluation process must be done by another audit, on-the-job performance observation and evaluation and so on. So to conclude, let me summarize. You have to plan well. You have to train trainers to be effective in public communication and give them the required infrastructure materials, use interactive methods more, small group discussions, case studies, role play, quizzes, questioning each other and some question cards, and blend in-person training with online training, which is available now, and use computer-based training, multimedia, virtual reality, webinars, web-based training, video conferencing, online distance learning, e-learning. All these are available to you. It's for you to creatively use all these to make your training more effective. And in hands-on training, especially for skills, have more apprenticeships, mock drills, job rotation, and so on. And allow the trainees to learn at their own pace. And most important of all, show great enthusiasm and deep commitment as a trainer. It is difficult to be not inspired by a sincere or vivacious trainer. So thank you for your attention. Let me thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity. And I hope that this National Trainers Summit has been of interest and of use to you, and you'll be able to improve on the job when you go back to your training, or but that means if you are already in the training field, and those few people who are going to enter the training field, this is a great opportunity, especially using the new technologies which I have mentioned. There are a lot of requirements for developing content, for imparting the training, and make full use of it, and help our nation grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now we have Dr. Paulus Jacob, Pro Vice Chancellor of Gujarat, for the special address. Sir, please.
President of the valedictory session, respected chief guests and dignitaries present here, I wish to convey my warm greetings to all of you. Cochin University of Science and Technology feels happy to be associated with this event. The society as such, I must confess, is not much familiar to me personally, but many of the people behind it are quite close to me, I must say. And as an academician, the topic is all the more interesting. Training, development and things like that. This university itself has a center for innovation, technology transfer and industrial consultancy, which is trying to help our students who have some good ideas to come up into a crystallized form and do some mentoring so that they can be successful in their career, providing employment to others also. Training is all the more important when we look at transformation as what we have seen as the focus of this particular session. And I am happy that I could have a very good, impressive summary presented by Chandra, which means there has been good value addition to all the participants. I congratulate all of you for having been part of this. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now we have the most awaited session, which is the presentation of awards for the two big events which have happened in the 2 days of our conference. So I would like to invite Mr. S.R. Nair, Mentor Guru and past president of ISTD Kochi for the same.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the award declarations, and as you know, as informed to you by Chandra and team, there had been 2 or 3 types of awards in this case. We have decided to take 3 best trainer talk presentations, Chandra, right? 3 best trainer talk presentations. We also decided to take the presentation done by the corporate team as well as the institution team on training, learning and development initiatives in their respective organizations. Most of the trainers talk had been completed yesterday, with about 1 or 2 spilling over to today because the concerned trainers could not make it yesterday. And all the presentations on corporate as well as institutions happened yesterday itself. As already informed to you by Chandra, this trainers talk has had judges Miss Diana Dentinger, Mr. Shamim Rafiq and Mr. Vipin Roldan as the judges. You have seen them yesterday and they also wished you all the very best yesterday itself. We have selected 3 best trainers talk personalities from among 16 to 17 trainers talk presentations that has been done. I would call out their name. It is not in any order because all the 3 carries equal weightage and marks. You would walk through this session, walk in, receive the prize from the chief guest here, and receive a certificate from the other gentleman who will be told to do so, and receive it and walk back. Maybe if you want to take a photograph or 2, that is about 15 seconds allowed for that because we are at the fag end of time. Okay. Now the judges have chosen 3 names. I am not announcing these 3 names separately. I would have done it together, but then I am announcing because all 3 can come separately. The first person, ladies first, so the first person who had been chosen as the best trainers talk is Dr. Sharna CM. I would request our chief guest, Mr. L. Radhakrishnan IAS, to hand over this memento. Like this, you give. And the certificate will be handed over by ISTD chairman, Mr. Joseph Pallab. Yeah, please come into front. Applause is allowed. No taxes for applauding. Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Sharna. The next person who had been chosen as the best trainer talk personality is... Thank you. Joseph Philip, sir. Please. Sharna, come this way. Nice of you. Congratulations. Okay. The second person is Mr. Benny George. Would you please come forward and receive this award from Professor Paulos Jacob, Pro Vice Chancellor, Cochin University of Science and Technology, and the certificate from No, certificate by Mr. Satish, who is our Jan Shikshan's son. Benny, congratulations. Please receive the award and please pose for a lovely photograph with Satish sir, please hand over the certificate too. Applause is allowed actually, no taxes. Thank you, Benny. Thank you, thank you. And the third personality is... Thanks, Benny. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. And the third personality is Mr. Shankar Vishwanathan. This time the award will be given by Mr. Shamsuddin and the certificate would be handed over by Chandra. Very good. Yes, Shankar, come through this way. Pass by. Congratulations. Right. We have the trainer talk is done. We have the Excellence Award from the corporate as well as from the institution. I will start with the institution first and then go to the corporate because there is one award for the institution and two for the corporate. And on learning and development initiative in the institution, the award goes to Rajagiri Center for Business Studies, Cochin. Can we have okay. Yeah, I don't see the person who had actually presented yesterday, but there is some representative coming in. Please come. I would request Professor Paulos Jacob to hand over the award and Mr. Jose Philip to hand over the certificate. Jose Philip's certificate. Congratulations. And the corporate session, yesterday we were actually given a feast of a presentation on learning and development that was completely automated, which has changed, which has already changed, trained in excess of about 1,17,000 people. And the award goes to Tata Consultancy Services Kerala Operation. I would request Rija and Anup, please come forward and receive this award on behalf of Tata Consultancy. The award will be given away by Mr. L. Radhakrishnan IAS and the certificate will be handed over by Nirmala. Applause is definitely allowed. Congratulations, certificate, yeah. Come Anup, thank you. Thank you Rija, thank you Anup. That was a lovely presentation, we have enjoyed it. Yes. And one more award. Yes, how much so over we had seen the technology effect in the presentation, learning and development. We had seen the real manual effort in learning and development, and this organization really deserves kudos for that because they've put so much of manual effort in getting it done and seeing that their organization really become a profitable one. And the award goes to Popular Vehicles and Services Limited, Cochin, and Dr. Anish Joseph, Suyash George and Nobin Mathai would come and collect the award on behalf of Popular Vehicles and Services Limited, Kochi. Please. And yeah, you can give a hand if you don't mind. And the award will be given away by Professor Shamsuddin will give away the award and certificate by Mr. Satish. One more step. Yeah. dignitaries, congratulations, congratulations. Please go back to your seats. Pleasantries time now. I would request President, Chairman of ISTD Kochi chapter to hand over a memento to our chief guest, Mr. L. Radhakrishnan IAS. Please, it's right, give it. Joseph Philip, sir. And Chandra would hand over the award to Professor Paulus Jacob. Not the award, the memento to Professor Paulus Jacob, please. Same thing, give it. Yeah. Applause. Nirmala will hand over the memento to Professor Shamsuddin, STTR. Thank you very much. It is vote of thanks time. Where is the person? Come, Srijit. Last part of the session.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's been like immense amount of information and too much of deliberations in the air and during the summit. I wouldn't want to have too much of a time taking and standing in between the information and the vote of thanks as such. I wish to express my heartfelt thanks from the part of the organization team and also from my personal side to our chief guest, the guest of honor, and all of you ladies and gentlemen for taking part in National Trainer Summit 2017. I hope all of you had a wonderful time here at the summit with attending the key sessions. Please do travel back home safely. We'll certainly meet you all next year here in Cochin itself. Thank you. Thank you so much for your participation.
So that comes to the end of a two-day program of National Trainer Summit 2K17. Let's all rise up for the national anthem.
तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभाशिष माहे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
So once again, thank you all and wish you all the best. Thank you.